Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's stream. How's everyone doing today? There we go. Hello. Hold on. Let's play another tavern theme. Today is a lore stream, which I'm very excited about, talking about everything that happened within the offline campaigns. Essentially, the lore of IO itself. So that, yeah, it's gonna be a pretty chill time. We're gonna talk primarily about the offline campaigns. Voidstar was the name of that campaign, and talking a little bit about the fallen heroes. Some of them may be coming in to share their experiences as well. But really just to give you all the solid foundation of where this world came from and how it was built to be by the actions and consequences and influences of its previous players. IO itself is a bit of a sandbox as it is, and because I really wanted players' actions to change and affect the world around it. So it's gonna be a lot. Will there be a VOD? Yeah, the VOD will be up pretty quickly so that way people can follow up. I didn't know there were offline campaigns. Yeah, so back in, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, there were offline campaigns. I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I think we started March 2018, maybe 2019. Man, my years are all mixed up. But essentially a while ago, we started a campaign offline to play D&D and chill. I had 2 groups, a Monday group and a Friday group that essentially were playing around in the same world. It was just a continent called the continent of Kathos, which is where All King takes place. And yeah, we hosted campaigns there, which lasted, I want to say about a close to a year, I believe. I'm trying to go back up to see when we actually started these games. Monday group hype. And yeah, the players themselves did a lot of things that you probably have known and see that reflects into the world of IO today. So it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time. So pretty much what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk around the general lore and history of IO. Talk a lot about the offline campaigns, which in itself is the history of itself. Some of the players of the offline campaigns are gonna hop in and also kind of like share what they're doing. I know Dukes is here, and I know Dodger and Joe are gonna come in at some point in time. I believe Benji's gonna come in as well and talk a little bit about his experience, and I think Bree's even gonna come in at some point in time. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're also gonna go ahead and I'll show you some of the maps that the offline games were in, and because man, they were dated. Now that I look at them and look over them. Oh yeah, speaking of Patreon, I want to give a big shout out. We are literally 1 patron away from, any patron, anyone can become a patron right now, and we will have reached our goal, our map goal and magic item art goal. So thank you guys so much for your support and all that. Like, we're literally just right. We're like at 99.5% or 99.6. Like, it's so close. So thank you guys so much for that. We'll be beginning work on that. Lore? Yeah. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the lore. I'm also going to be playing some tracks from our actual offline campaign that I used for that. And that should be really good and help get me there and in the mood to really just recap back. My memory is also garbage, so I'm really hoping that I recall all this. And for any of the players that are here in chat right now, I'm in the D&D Discord in a voice channel that you guys can join in and leave at any time that you want to share everything that's been happening. Let me see something real quick. What is this song? Goldwater. Oh, this is good. this is a good backdrop to everything that's happening. So yeah, we'll be switching between this screen. We'll be switching between the maps and everything. So let me go ahead and give you just a general rundown first and foremost of what IO is. Don't you mean Gov water? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. So for those that didn't actually see the IO trailer, it spoke a little bit about how IO was formed and what was essentially the overarching story of the offline campaigns, which was essentially that there were these two godly forces that influenced and sort of ruled behind the scenes in the planet of IO. The two gods were Div and Void, essentially a god of light and a god of darkness. Although they really didn't have genders specifically. Typically, Div was associated more with the feminine vernacular, and Void was more with the masculine vernacular. And as the history states, woo ad break. Did the auto ad start playing? Shake my head, Twitch. Shake my head. So yeah, just to kind of go off with that, Div and Void were in a constant struggle, where essentially Div wanted to grow and flourish and illuminate the entire universe of existence, and Void was essentially this sort of mass of darkness and nothing that wanted to remain nothing. It was a constant struggle between existence and non-existence, and what that conflict would look like. And because of that conflict, it actually caused sort of like a big bang of Io, of the world actually appearing and spawning from this eternal conflict between two warring gods. And because of that, all the denizens and mortals and people of Io were born. They were a combination of essence between Div and Void, of light and darkness. They were essentially called the balance, or the balanced, essentially. And that's what all mortality was just this balance of people. There were a couple of different variations of the balance of mortality, and that would be the Void Touch and the Radiant, where essentially if you were someone that leaned a little more towards Div in your makeup, you were a Radiant mortal. And if you leaned a little closer towards the Void side, you were a Void Touched mortal. So the players themselves were a variety of balanced individuals and Radiant and Void Touched. Those don't exist now in the more modern campaigns, and we'll definitely get into that. Someone asked, is there a map of Io? Io is a constantly evolving world, so we don't have one yet, but we will have one soon of all the continents that have been discovered and influenced right now. There are 5 continents that I know of right now. When it comes to, I believe 5. Why am I thinking of 3? Nope, there, what? Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 4 right now. There's Kathos, there's Ishtar, there is the continent of Asmodia, where the kingdom of Asmodia is at. And there's one more continent that's sort of like I don't remember the name, but one of the characters came from. It's definitely rich and was inspired by like Japanese Far East, things of that nature. So building around that one's going to require a little more time, because I definitely want to make sure that's super respectful and all that. But yeah, it definitely feel like you yeah, but definitely feel like if you have any questions or things of that nature. So with that foundation in place of Div and Void and this eternal conflict between light and darkness, and that's about 200 years after the planet. I want to either it was like, I think it was like almost like 200 years, maybe 1,000 years. I forget the exact timeline. Io's a very early birthed planet, essentially. So I want to say about 200 years after that, is when the offline campaign started to take place, and Io's already gone through a bit of a historical change and movement and things like that. There's already been great conflicts between who should rule Div or Void, and those that side with either gods that have essentially created that. A newly birthed planet. Did all races come from somewhere? Or did they evolve quickly? They were all born in Io. So like the dwarves, the gnomes, halflings, all the races are there. But because Io is also a newly birthed planet, there's several races that you haven't seen in Io yet. Dragons, yep, dragons are there. Is Astral Veil part of Io? No, Astral Veil, it's its own thing entirety. The Astral Veil is essentially this giant. It's the infinite, essentially. It's what we can conceive as the infinite. And then there's something even beyond that that's literally called the Great Beyond, which is the unknown, the great unknown. And that allows for the influence of other worlds and campaigns to potentially continue to go on there. The Astral Veil is sort of like a plane of cosmos and space, but it isn't space exactly. But it does allow for the potential of other worlds and campaigns to influence Io, this great unknown. There. The Labyrinth Veil as part of the Astral or its own plane. The Labyrinth Veil is sort of this magical. The Labyrinth Veil is a constructed plane of Magister's desires and wishes, essentially. There's several planes out there that I believe are just nothing. They're empty space that has yet to be discovered or influenced. The Labyrinth Veil is one of those. It allows for the construction of labyrinth hallways and things like that to actually reconstruct teleportation. What races are around? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, is that since Io is still this brand new planet, there are several races that actually do not exist as of yet in the concept of Io, and even in the concept of the Great Veil around Io. Demons and devils, for example, do not exist. Solars, celestials, they do not exist. What are they called? Aberrations? Yeah, no tieflings. Tieflings aren't a thing yet. I keep in mind. All aberrations, so mind flayers, beholders, things of that nature, they don't exist yet in the world of Io. Although in one of the online campaign or one of the offline campaigns, there was a brief aberration encounter, but we'll talk more about that later. Io itself is kind of telling the story of where these races would come from in the sense of this world. So even though they, like demons and devils and all those, don't exist yet, there is always the possibility they may exist, and we will actually get to see the story of their origination and birth as far as Io goes. So that's just something there. Is there gods? So originally there were two gods, Div and Void, who were slain by the fallen heroes. Well, they weren't fallen at the time, but they were slain essentially by, I want to say, 10 heroes that defeated both at the same time, killed Div and Io because they wanted mortality to ascend. Mortality was kind of like capped off at whatever Div and Void wanted. They were just these overpowering gods that were in the middle of their own feud and didn't really care so much about their mortal offsprings, because that was already kind of like an accident and mistake to begin with. So mortality was already at a breaking point and cap, and almost at a near apocalyptic level between this constant ebb and flow between Div and Void. So the heroes were tasked to essentially kill these gods. The gods were then slain, and these heroes, their memories and influences scattered across the planet of Io as they were assumed to be killed at that point, because they literally were in the middle of a supernova of two gods' death. And because of that, their memories and influence spread across the entire planet. And so they're known as the Fallen Heroes, or the Fallen Hero Pantheon. So as far as worship goes, they're the only beings that are actually worshipped or looked up to, they aren't necessarily a source of power. What people do now as a source of power is tap into the astral veil. And that's where all divination, all arcana, everything like that is tapped into that. It's essentially that everything comes from the astral. So wizards get their spells from the astral, druids using the astral influence the nature around them. Clerics also get their power from the astral. But the dangers of that is it's a great unknown. It's a super great unknown. Druidism still nature? Yeah, so druids tap into the astral to help influence nature. Druids are like a two-part. They go into nature, but they also influence nature through the astral. The astral is this all-powerful thing. Originally, individuals' power sources of magic came from either Div or Void, which was the same thing. You would either tap into Div or you would tap into Void and go ahead and do that. Sorcerers, yep, all in the astral. Sorcerers use their bloodlines to tap into astrals. Wizards study it and have but already have like a sort of latent link into it, pulling mysterious energies in the world. Yep. Everyone uses these energies. They don't necessarily know what it is, but they know that it will allow them to get what they need to influence, essentially. Warlocks would basically have a Daddy Warbucks astral hookups. Warlocks. Oh man, Warlocks are a dangerous class to play in IO. Are an absolute dangerous class to play in IO, as you'll find out as we talk a little bit more about some of the offline campaigns, because they tap into something. They tap into a mystery power of a great entity. Of a variety of great unknown entities that are willing to do it. But the thing is, warlocks most of the time have no idea who these are. In normal D&D, you're like, oh, I talked to this demon, I'm talking to this fae, I'm doing this. There is literally an unknown that you're speaking to that is just a powerful force that for some reason is lending their power to you. And you just go with it, and that's basically the best way to describe warlocks. It's so far unknown. It isn't like, oh, I'm tapping. You're tapping into the astral, and you're speaking to someone, but you have no idea who that entity is. You could literally be a warlock that taps into, as the Arcane Academy refers to as, the space baby, is what people have watched with that. So yeah. Wah. Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm just chit-chatting here. Right, yeah. So I'm really glad you're here though, that we could talk about IO and its history.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked.
Yeah, Joe and I figured we'd come around the same time.
Yeah.
Because our characters were tight. So
your characters were super tight. Let me answer one more. I thought someone asked one more. Oh, how many campaigns that been in IO? Three. Well, four, but really three stories have been in IO in the offline world. And then the 3 that are here. And then someone asked Bards.
3?
Yeah. Well, technically 4.
I guess the 2, like the one where I play Poe, like we never interacted with the other group.
Right. But
you get that story as 1.
That's why I said like 3.5, because it was kind of the same story. But there's still hidden lore about that not even you guys know about it, which is why I'm being very careful about the latest campaign. Absolutely. But yeah, I think we've got the foundation. Yeah, for someone who was asking about bards or modern day bards, they tap into the astral as well. They do a little bit. I feel like bards, and Joe, step in on this, but I feel like bards, since they are the jack of all trade, they literally tap into like everything. They just know a little bit about how to influence everything.
The way I've always pictured bards in D&D is that like wizards will study magic and understand it.
Yes.
Sorcerers will have a natural affinity, like an affinity with it. But bards, they kind of find the cheat sheet of magic.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is how you do that. But they don't really know what they're doing half the time. They'll just name it themselves.
That's the way I would view bards in IO as well, as just essentially they know how everyone else does it a little bit. So they just do it that way, essentially, which leads to this whole mishmash of things.
They're the person who in high school pierced their own ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fine, it won't get infected.
100% those are bards. Exactly. Bards are wiki experts. That's perfect.
Right.
That is literally it. For paladins and clerics, funny enough, paladins, clerics, sorcerers, wizards, and bards all tap into the same source. And druids too, a little bit. They all tap into the astral, which makes things very fun and interesting and kind of a little dangerous, but because no one really knows what this source is.
So one of the things that I don't think you mentioned is
Yes.
that like the very first offline games, when the world was still like completely influenced by Div and Void,
Right.
there was like a fairly decent percentage chance that people would be born void touched or radiant. And I don't think you've talked about that yet, really. Have you?
So there was a I think for the most part, people were actually born balanced, where they were just everyone always has influence of Div and Void, because that's essentially how mortality came to being, came to life in IO. So everyone has void and Div in them, and because that's just the seed of where they came from.
It's just whether or not it's imbalanced.
Yeah. And the imbalance, I think there was more balance than there was imbalanced. But they still definitely exist. I would say probably 20 or 30% of people born would either be leaning just a little close to the radiance or leaning a little close to void.
Is that still the case in modern?
No, not at all.
Because it's gone completely, right?
Yeah. So essentially, the whole task of like defeating Div and Void, humanity got to a growing point and a blended point, kind of like how a lot of bloodlines work. I feel like where they're just their own thing now. Everything is just completely mixed up now. So there really isn't like Div and Void were still in the influences. But you were definitely more mortal than you were part Div or part Void at that point, which is kind of why and we'll talk more about like characters. It's kind of why the fallen heroes at that point were tasked like, okay, mortality's ready to grow. We're ready to ascend beyond whatever the gods say. So but they're never going to stop. Yeah. They're just going to keep living. So we gotta defeat them, because that's the ceiling right now. Mortality needs to go on its own path, and as long as Div and Void are still around, they never will. And so now they're extremely rarely, I would say, there are still radiant and Void touched out there who still have remaining fragments of Div and Void in them. But I mean, we're talking like less than 1% at this point.
And they probably wouldn't even know what it is.
No. So yeah, people look at Div and Void as like the old gods. They are essentially the old gods at that point. So no one really worships. A few people do worship them. In All King. Do you guys mind if I tell you a little bit about like other campaigns? Because I know some of you guys there. So in All King, they've met with a Void cult who is actually trying to bring back the Void, because they are like society's forgotten. They're the mistrodden. They're the ones they're society's rejects, essentially.
Gotcha.
And they've learned about these old gods that Div was sort of this like, oh, you must be the chosen of Div to be the radiant, blah 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 blah. They had no influence in that. But with the Void, the general understanding of the Void was all is welcome, because we'll all return to oblivion in the end. And that kind of led to this like understanding that, oh, well, there's something that'll accept us. Maybe we need to look to a greater power. So right now they're trying to bring like an avatar of Void back into the planet of Kathos. And you'll well, I won't say anything. I won't say anything more than that, because All King will have a lovely, let's just say a lovely little tie-in between Misdemeanor and All King.
Yeah, I was just about to be like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Side eyes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
Oh no, I thought you were going to ask a question as well. Also to chat, is there any other questions about the greater lore before we get into the offline campaigns, the Voidstar, and then I'll talk a little bit about actually what a Voidstar is and why the campaign was named that. What is Headmaster Levin? He is, so no one really got an answer. Levin is a race that's currently being worked on. He's one of those races that doesn't really have a term to it. So there will be more information about Levin, but he is his own custom like race. He's kind of like a Yoda. Yeah, he's kind of like a Yoda. But we're actually going to go into full details of what that means. Not like, oh, he's a Yoda. Next question, you know what I mean? So there'll be some more about that. I feel like if the Arcane Academy decides to return back to the Astral Veil and work more with Levin, I think they'll find out more about Levin's history, what Levin is, and what exactly that is to the Astral Veil. Absolutely. But yeah, someone brought up Warlocks, and I was talking about Warlocks are probably one of the most dangerous classes to play in IL because you literally have no idea who you're getting. You could commune with your patron power, but you really have no idea who they are or what they are because you can literally not conceive their existence, essentially.
Wasn't Gub
a
Warlock?
And Gub didn't even know who he was talking to. And that,
well, I mean, no one knew what was going on with Gub.
Yeah.
And I don't think Gub always knew what was going on either.
Gub knew he was talking to a actually, yeah, we can get in there, but you can ask them. You can ask them and they'll tell you something. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm part of nature," or "Oh," but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll tell you the truth of what they are. Essentially. It's I mean, yeah, what they say is not what necessarily the truth. So, and that's kind of why Warlocks are an extremely dangerous class to play. So you guys want to talk Voidstar and essentially your group, the one. Yeah. So for Voidstar, just as a preference for any or like a background setting. There were two groups that played in Voidstar, and they both had their own separate campaigns. They were both in the same continent, but experiencing different stories as like Kathos was going through so many things. And they essentially Brett was like, "Hey guys, I would love to run a D&D game," and too many of us were like, "Awesome, I'm in." Yeah. And Brett was like, "Okay, I could do one big." Nope. I'll do 2 games. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, 2 games, and to make it easier, I'll just put them all in the same place, and like maybe that would be fun. And then there could be like crossovers and stuff. Yeah, it'll be fine. Because too many of us were like chomping at the bit for like an offline game to play together. for some freaking D&D. No, that's yep. That was exactly it. That's exactly what happened. So the history of the offline campaigns was actually Sam messaging me and being like, "I need D&D. You're a DM. Can you make a D&D game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to DM a game." He was like, "All right, make it happen." And I went, "Okay." And then I went, "Who wants to play D&D?" And then, yeah, that's when everyone was like, "I want to play D&D." And I went, "Uh-oh." And then, yeah, there was literally, we had 12 people. And yeah, that is essentially, Io's birth came from stripping one to play D&D. That's honestly, I think that's the seed right there. And now it's its own really cool evolution. And I absolutely love it. So we're going to talk a little bit. We're probably going to talk a little bit about Friday Group as well. And so let me just recap to everyone what we're doing today. This is going to be a pretty casual conversation about what happened, and we're going to put some lore together from it. to answer any questions that you guys may have, since this is an already existing world. This may take one stream. This may take many streams. I genuinely don't know how. We don't really have like an agenda or a checklist. So we're gonna kind of like wing it and play it by ear. And we're gonna have some players come in. Like we got Dodger and Joe here, which I'm very excited. We get to chit chat. And everyone will like come in and out. Like I said, Benji's I think is gonna stop by at some point in time. I think Bree wants to stop by at some point in time, and I know at some point in time I'm gonna talk to Sam about his character, like and their legacy. By they I mean Sam and Kraken were their characters were related, and they have an interesting lore behind them, and I will eventually dive into that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, yeah, I'll share that story later. But for now, let's kind of. Do you guys want to? You guys cool if we kind of like start at the beginning of the campaign, like how you guys met and things like that? Would that be cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So first of all, the campaign was called Voidstar, and that's because when Div separated herself from the Void after she was born. It literally destroyed destroyed the Void asunder into 8 like latent abilities called Void Stars. So anytime you encountered a Void Star, if a Void Star came to life, you were essentially facing an 8th of the Void, which were extremely powerful, almost demigod-like powers. So the game foreboding was called the Voidstar. And by the way, my memory is garbage, so if you guys remember something differently, please correct me. But I believe
It wasn't called Voidstar.
Oh, it wasn't called Voidstar? What was it called, Joe?
Sterling and Friends.
I also recall that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely
what it was called.
Monday group was Wazy and Sterling get into shenanigans.
Yeah, and then some other people were also there. Yeah, our group was me, Joe, Cheeky, Sput, Shane.
And Dave was there for a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Dave was there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Dave. I'll never get over that. Octo was also there for like a super hot minute.
Oh, yeah.
He was Scrumpo the No Mage. Which,
yeah, anybody who watches Arcadum games now is going to be like...
I was about to... I also want to mention that. Yeah, I was like, I heard, I was listening to some Arcadum games, and I think someone is literally named Scrumpo. And I was
Octo
like,
gave him that name.
Oh my god!
So Scrumpo lives again as a character in the Arcadum games. The name lives
hilarious.
on. It's such a good name. I'm glad it has new life.
I mean, same. Honestly, I just heard Scrumpo. I'm like, that name sounds familiar. But yeah, so you guys started like a lot of D&D games start. You were tasked to meet in a tavern, I believe, in the city of Gullwater, which is already kind of like this derelict city that people lived in. It used to be like an old fisherman's town, but the lake by, known as the Gull, was literally like drying up. It was like withering away. So the town itself was already on like its kind of like last legs when you met there. And I believe you were there because you were tasked by Dave's character, Gale.
Yes.
To find an amulet that was believed to be in the town of Gullwater. Is that correct?
Was it like a church or something like
Yes.
that? I can't remember what it was that we
Yeah, you guys were going to go over to a priest that was said to have this quote-unquote void artifact, I think. I don't even know if it was mentioned as a void artifact, but I think it was essentially like, we need to get this amulet and the client's paying big money for it, essentially.
Honestly, all I remember from that very first session was that Sterling and Datus, who's Cheeky's character, Sterling and Datus managed to fucking nat 20 me and convince me that they were famed dragon killers.
Oh,
That was fucking great.
And I believed that for my character fully believed that for so long.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was the beginning in the tavern. Yeah, they essentially convinced Wazy that I remember you were like, oh, like, wow, that's really cool. Like you really went along with that. That they were actually famed dragon killers. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Does anyone remember if Goldwater was hostile? I don't think Goldwater was really hostile to you. I know you guys were like walking amongst the town and things like that very briefly to get over to the church.
We got into a fist fight, or like a brief fight with a couple of people.
In the bar?
I can't remember. Yeah, they met us outside. They attacked us outside. I can't remember what we did to piss them off, but I think it was like they were rude to someone in our group.
Yeah, I do remember there was a fist fight. I don't remember the reason for it. As much of D&D is failed social interaction leading to violence, I feel like.
Yeah. We definitely fought people on the way to like find this amulet. Yeah. I don't recall why.
Yes.
But yes.
I genuinely think it was because someone was insulted or someone was trying to like con you guys. I felt like there was a con that went wrong either from you guys or from the bar patrons.
This group was already just fucking cursed. Sterling was a bard. It was like a perfectly normal, charismatic, smarmy bard. Wazy was like a huge stacked fighter. But then we had like Sput's character Gub, who we literally did not know the class of until the game was already over.
That's right. Yeah, I think he said he was a fighter.
He could only say the word Gub.
Yes.
And he was a farmer from Gullwater. That's literally all that we knew about him. And he would do shit. And then Joe and I, like, on the sly would be like, what the fuck? How can he cast that spell? Like, what? What is he? It was so ridiculous.
He did, like, 3 different things that was really mad.
Yeah.
Like, how is he capable of that?
I loved it. Oh, I wish more, I kind of wish someone else will do that. Like, they'll be like, I'm this class, but secretly because he was pretending to be a fighting class at first. He was like, yep, I'm a farmer from Gub and I know how to fight. And, but then he would like cast,
then he would use magic.
Yeah. That was he was, a warlock, but his pact allowed him to cast fire spells from like wizard school. So you're like, are you a wizard? Is he a...
He cast Druidcraft early on, I think.
Yeah.
Or it was like create fire or something like that. And we're like, what? So what are you?
And then there was Datus, Cheeky's character, who was a paladin.
Yes.
I believe it's pictured as a sex paladin.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to be a sex paladin. And then proceeded to, spoiler, not bang a single person for the entirety of the campaign. Never once.
Well, he might have had shield.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's true. I'm jumping ahead.
We made a playlist for Datus that's entirely songs about boning.
God.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yes, because we were like, this poor dude, he's like gone off on his own. He's all depressed, probably because he hasn't gotten any tail, and he's a sex paladin. So we're gonna make him a playlist. Never touched a single boob or dick the entire time.
I remember
disappointing.
Dodger. I remember I visited you and Sam with Kraken when I was in California, and we talked about that very briefly before the game even began. Where it's like, oh yes, Cheeky, I guess, is gonna be like a paladin of sex. And I think you said that is such a first-time character to be. Like,
It is though.
It's just like, I'm gonna play D&D for the first time, and I'm gonna be a paladin of sex. And you're like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's the like, okay, my thing is gonna be that I chop off people's nut sacks and turn them into bags of holding. Like, it's that, right? Like, It's like. So many people start off just going, you said I could do anything, and it just go in like such a weird sexual
You're
direction.
Like, I did say you could do it. Well, I'm grateful as a DM that he didn't go through with, even though that was who he was, that he didn't copulate with anyone, because that would have been unfortunate for me as a storyteller. But
just fade to black.
I wish it was.
Yeah, fade to black. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, you guys were tasked essentially by Gale, who was Dave's character. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that that Shane's character totally boned someone in the campaign, though.
Shane didn't join at the beginning, though, did he?
No,
Shane
Shane
later.
joined
I
us
don't
later,
remember.
right? He was
Yes.
he was in season 2.
He was in season 2. Yeah,
After
I
the,
thought
like,
he was in
2
season
month-
1.
Yeah.
time skip or whatever.
I think we
Yeah.
had 5 people in our group then in the first one.
Well, I know Shane
it
was
was
there.
episode
Shane played a bard, I thought.
Only in season 2. And I
Only
remember
in
the reason
season 2, I
being
think.
is because I went College of Law, then
Oh.
he came in College of Law, but he picked like the exact same spells as me, so I was like, oh, I kind of want to shift over to College of Swords. That's why, because it was later on.
Yeah.
Didn't we have 6 people in the first group originally?
Well,
And
Dave
we-
was
we were
1.
5.
Yeah.
No, but I still think we were 5 with Dave.
Oh, was it always 5? Maybe it was always 5. Man, I don't.
You meet
I-
Cheeky Sput, Dave.
I'm scrolling down the right there. Yeah, I see Cheeky and Sput, and Dave was there. And yeah, I guess that was it. Weird. Yeah, I always remember Shane being there, but I guess Shane wasn't
He
there.
joined
Oh,
us. Yeah.
oh, we got some.
He
we
drew
got,
us when Sput changed his character as well.
yeah,
never met
yeah.
Oh, I'll be right back. Our food is here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking at old lore right now from that first one. Like, you know, Cheeky got a letter from Gale earlier on, and yeah. So that's how the first session began, which is essentially Dave's character Gale tasking them to find this amulet that the client's gonna pay him big money. And I remember Gale had this sort of attitude like, hey, if you stick around and you do this job well, I might have other jobs for you where you're gonna get a big payout, you know? And that's like, I feel like that was like Gale's attitude. We're like, big money, you're gonna get paid, it's gonna be awesome. So you guys went over to a church essentially to get this amulet back from this priest who was going through like their like what was. Do you remember the general demeanor of the priest, Joe, or do you not remember? Because I have like a little bit of
I think he was
memory.
really paranoid.
Yes.
And kind of freaking out a bit, and he was like, oh, don't come near me, don't come near me.
Yeah, he was already on like the breaking point. It felt like, and Gale, I remember, was extremely like, give us the, you know, you gotta go, you gotta give us this amulet. It almost felt like it was like a little brutish, right, Joe? Where essentially you like strong-handed this amulet off. Do you remember why Sterling would have went along with that? I feel like there must have been some specific reason why Sterling would have went with it.
I think the way I played it early with Sterling was that he was looking to kind of write stories.
Yeah.
And kind of get songs sung about him and sing songs about his exploits. So for him, he was like, oh, this is just the first of the quests.
Yeah.
Soon we'll go on epic adventures.
So after some time in like pressure with this priest, he actually began to like turn into a monster, which was believed to be the power of the amulet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Yeah, that? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he turned into a void monster, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember like why he turned into a void monster. Because I feel like he did that as a way of saying like that's he turned into a void monster because of the amulet itself. Like
yeah,
the amulet.
He was trying to contain it.
Yeah. But I remember it was spun in such a way that it was like either he was the void monster or I think that's what it was. I think Gale was like persuading you guys that he was actually a monster who had this amulet.
And
that
we found out that he was not, right?
yes. Yeah, well, later on you guys definitely found
Yeah.
out you didn't. Yeah, so that was the first battle, was essentially against this giant like beast of void that literally tore down the church. And you all fought against it. And won, by the way, and got yourself this amulet that was part of the task. And then I'm trying to remember. Okay, there was actually a note here after that, that was given to, I think. Oh no, that was much longer. Oh my gosh. Yeah, never mind. What was the? So I think this. Do you remember what the second session was? Like, I think you guys were tasked to get another treasure, right? Or do you remember what happened after that? I'm trying to like recall.
I'm gonna load up your campaign. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same.
I think our next big thing was.
When did you go to the bandit camp? Or speak with the bandits?
That was season 2.
No.
That was Act 2.
No. So there was like a group of bandits that you guys went to in the beginning, because I think he had a treasure. Essentially, what was happening?
Because that was with where we were worrying about like the mayor sending us and stuff. I think the next big thing we did was, and pretty early on, was we got a quest because we went. Okay, this is what we did. I remember this. We went out into the wilderness and we set up camp. And I remember Gale was sending letters.
Yes.
And I think we intercepted a letter. I think we killed one of the birds or something.
I think so.
I think Daedus killed one of Gale's birds.
Yep.
When he was, because he went off for a while. He was like, "You stay here, yada yada."
Yeah. So at one point,
the bird.
Yeah. So during their travels, because I think you guys were just like trying to get like treasures and things like that, you intercepted a letter specifically to Gale. It wasn't a letter that Gale sent out. It was a letter to Gale by someone named G. The letter said that Vermathis has been located along with the statue. North of Hamlet, yes. Beyond the ruins of Gallwater, exists a location forgotten by many called the Hollow Tower. You remember it, don't you? It's where my greatest lesson to you took place. To think Vermathis would hide here for me, it's a bold move, but a futile one. The void energies here he manipulates will soon be extinguished as it channels to other areas of the ley line. With Gallwater now a void site, the tower's energy is already transferring there. Once the princess has revived the Sword of Tenebron from the Radiant Forest, the void energies will also channel to that site as well. With that, the void from the Hollow Tower may be extinguished by the time you have arrived. Vermathis may have the stone from the statue, but I'm sure it will take time before he understands how to use it. Send your mercenaries there to the Hollow Tower. Promise them anything. Claim the stone and bring it back to me for the final ritual. Soon this will all be over. We may save this world and all mortality with it. Live well, G. So essentially the overarching story of like quote unquote season 1, which was a very small season, by the way, of Voidstar. Also, Gmart's here. Hi, Gmart.
Hello.
Yo.
Is these two groups were given specific tasks for gold to like go get treasures or defeat sources or sources of evil or things like that. Because someone was trying to cast essentially a ritual to bring back one of the void stars. And there was this, it was essentially this overarching story of like deceit. So for Monday group, they what?
Frankly, I've got Daedus's character sheet on my thing accessible because I had to play him a couple of times.
Yeah.
And his background is love making.
Oh fuck.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That is amazing. So hold on, let me actually go to this grid real quick so everyone can actually see what the old jeez.
Well, this is the old.
Oh, this is like the old, like
Do you have
old.
the old battle maps? Because I reckon if I saw battle maps, I'd start to remember. Because I feel like, because this is what I remember, right? I remember we went to the Void Town.
Yes.
And we found out that Void wasn't evil. I can't remember what we did before going from between Goldwater and that town. I can't remember what we did.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of miscellaneous stuff. One of them, I believe, was a bandit camp, and the reason why, like, you sure that was Act 2?
I'm telling you, it's Act 2.
The bandit camp is at the bandit camp. Where at the end I like went to kill the guy and he was like, "What if I gave you all my bandits?" And I was like, "No, fuck you." That.
Yeah, that was Act 2. Okay.
That was Act 2. Yeah.
The reason why I'm getting that
the
mixed.
Crab.
The reason why I'm getting all that mixed up is because in Act 1, literally session 1, Gmart's group went to the bandit camp.
That was our bandit camp
to steal some stuff. Yeah, so that's probably why I was mixing it up.
What it was, because I remember we had a crossover moment with that. Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what happened. On Gmart's side of this act, they were tasked by someone, which I don't think we ever found. I might have played it off as Gale as well. I don't remember who you were tasked with.
I really don't remember. It was, I think it was like an anonymous, wasn't it?
It was essentially just like a random non-influential person that tasked you to go to this bandit camp to get all the treasure. Correct. I don't think you were asked to
Something
get anything.
like that.
Yeah, I don't think you were asked to get anything specific. But essentially, the goal was go to this bandit camp. They stole something. They robbed from the city of Atlas specifically, and they have all these artifacts. They wanted you to loot everything there, and then you were gonna go ahead and meet with a client. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, oh boy, but how did that happen? Okay, so yes, I completely remember. Yeah, okay, sorry, it's all literally coming back to me. All right, so group Friday, which was the first group that I DM'd, and that's why I say group one, because I DM'd them first, and then I DM'd Monday right afterwards. So Friday's group, there was a mysterious man that came and said, hey, I need you to go to this bandits camp. I need you to acquire these treasures. That's over in the Discord. It was robbed by they robbed the city of Atlas. I need you to go. I need you to get it all. And then I'm gonna contact you later once you do that. We're gonna meet up, and we're gonna go. I'll look at the treasures. If I see one that I'm interested in, I'm gonna go ahead and grab it. You can keep the rest, and I'll even pay for the treasure. So you went to the bandit camp. It was a very typical D&D adventure. You snuck in. Gmart, you were doing a lot of sneaking.
I remember I used disguise self and actually snuck in through the front door, and then everybody else just climbed over the wall.
It was so nerve-wracking.
Actually sneak.
Yeah, because you were like
charisma my way through, and they just fucking climbed.
But yeah, you went in. You guys took all the treasure, and in Act 1, there was one of the treasure was a music box that sealed in like a great void lich. That you guys awakened, and you had to essentially defeat before he became like a full-fledged, full-powered lich.
Yeah, our very first session was opening a lich box in a bar.
Yeah.
Wait, we also opened a lich box, right?
You guys got lich boxes?
That's what we fought too, wasn't it?
I got a lich box for Christmas too.
You fought.
Oh my god. I thought they were rare, but I guess not.
You fought a void beast in a church that had a pendant. Oh, we were talking about this while you were getting food, Dodger. You were tasked to get like this pendant from a priest that a client really wants to pay a lot of money for. Essentially, you were gonna get like thousands of gold or something like that. And when you went into the church, he was like, "No, stay away. You don't understand." And he transformed into a void priest, essentially. And hold on one second. I can't.
Bango, get in here.
Benji left the D&D Discord.
Oh, what on earth?
Yeah, that's right. Calling him out. He left the inactive Discord. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
That's that list of inactive Discords I wish I quit.
Hi,
Bango.
Benji. We got 2 from Monday, 2 from Friday now. This is wonderful.
That
bye.
He left. No, we called him out. We called him out. Oh, his Discord borks. Never mind. But yeah, you guys fought the priest turned into a void monster, essentially. And it was believed, I want to say it was believed that he was a void monster, like in disguise this entire time, or that's what Gale was saying. Like, oh, he's a creature or a monster or something like that, essentially. And you fought it, you defeated it, you got the pendant. It was believed the pendant had some sort of power, or it was like a void artifact that needed to be stopped. I think it was the fact that Gale spun it that either he was already a void monster. No, I think it was Gale said that the amulet transformed into a void monster because it was a dark void artifact. But that was just a lie by Gale. The amulet literally had no value, no magical purpose whatsoever. It was just something that kept the void in bay under Gullwater, essentially. The priest was kind of like tasked to like keep the void suppressed, essentially. And it was getting very difficult for him to do so. And he used the pendant, even though it had no power, he believed it had a latent power to hold back the void. So it was kind of like a mind over matter kind of thing so that he could persist. But as Gale, specifically Gale, continued to antagonize the priest, which is what Gale wanted to do, the void transformed like the priest into a void beast. And then very quickly after you guys like left Gullwater, because it was all falling apart at that point, Gullwater was essentially demolished and destroyed. And that was, I think, session 2 of Friday Group was them arriving in the ruined Gullwater, because at that point,
that shit was trash.
Oh.
yeah, Friday Group.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, they even began to write rest in P right over there. Hold on, making sure. Yeah. And so in session 2, you got all the treasures, and your contact essentially was like, meet me in the ruins of Gullwater. We'll do the exchange. We'll do the trade there. And it essentially what you guys did, if I recall correctly, and let me know if you remember this at all, G-Mart, is you all... He went through all the treasures, and I think you guys, he wouldn't tell you what treasure he wanted. He would just say which one he would purchase off of you, and he would give you money for it, essentially. And I think you guys were trying to figure out ahead of time, like through like inside checks, which one he wanted, so that way you could either like hike up the price or figure out why the heck he wanted it, essentially. So I don't remember the exchange too much because this was a very long time ago.
I also don't remember it very much at all. I'll be honest.
Well, that's what I say. Like, it literally just all came back to me who like your benefactor was and things like that. After a bit of struggle, he managed to get the treasure that he wanted, which was a statue, essentially. And that's what he was looking for. So originally he was trying to like give you guys like all this money of like, hey, I'll give you 10K for that. I'll give you, but I think the question kept coming up. Well, why do you want it? What do you need this for? And he wouldn't give you an answer. And that was just like unacceptable. I feel like to probably Lawman's character, Braun, who was very holy and pious. Hey.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, Benji. Benji, how good is your memory? Because I'm remembering bits and pieces.
I remember things and bobs.
That's good.
Okay. We're on Friday group session 2, where you guys were giving your treasure over to your benefactor. I don't know if you remember that far back though. After you looted the bandit camp, you got a bunch of treasure, and then you went over to the ruins of Gullwater to make the exchange. And there was a bit of a conflict with that because I believed, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember, I believed you guys were trying to figure out what he was after, essentially, because he wouldn't tell you what he wanted. He just said, I'll tell you which treasures I want to buy, and I'll give you a fair price for them.
Yeah, he was fucking weird. He was so strange. And I was very honestly confused about how to roleplay that, because it's my first D&D game. So I was like, oh, there's this weird, creepy guy. Did he disappear as well?
Yeah, he did.
Sure he disappeared.
Yeah. He teleported away after he got the statue.
Was he blue?
Kind of, yeah. Because
in my head he was blue.
Well,
in my head canon he blue.
Well, you found out, and this actually connects back to Monday group. You found out his name was Vera Mathis, who was essentially this very like far to the void touch, almost like a void creature at that point. And after you saw him, he jolted. He got the heck out. And
that's who we've found. That's who we were pursuing in the Void Town.
In the town.
Yes. And I think Monday group you were pursuing because of the note that Datus
We
intercepted.
the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think Data shot down the bird that was meant for Gale.
Right.
Right.
But Gale disappeared. for a
Gale was
while.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the bird landed, looked for Gale, and then it was going to fly away, and then Datus killed it.
Before Gale
So-
left, we had a conversation. Basically, we like got away and we made camp, and Gale was like, "I'm gonna leave, but
Yeah.
this is the group that I work for. They will pay you handsomely to do X, Y, and Z. I'll let you know what it is you need to do. Just sit tight." And then he vanished.
Yeah.
And then we like shot a bird out of the sky and
Mhm.
looked at the note.
Because I think you guys were just
I guess
waiting
we'll
for
go
a
here.
while. Yeah, because I think you guys
Yeah.
were just waiting for a while. Like, when's Gale going to return? At that point in session 2, I believe Gale met with the Friday group to essentially intercept. So Gale met with Friday group and was like, and I think Gale was saying like, "Oh, we're after that guy. Did you stop him? What did you see? What did you go?" Gale went out over a different name as well with Friday group. I don't remember what the name was. But essentially, I think he was telling you, and Benji, let me know if you remember this. I think he was telling you that Veramanthus was this evil guy essentially, and now that he has this artifact he's looking for, the world is in like grave danger or something like that. Like, I think that's what he was trying to persuade you guys.
Yeah. The
Yes.
implication was
Yeah.
that he was trying to bring a Voidstar.
Yeah, that Veramanthus was essentially trying to bring a Voidstar to life with the magic item that Veramanthus just got from Friday Group. So Gale went to Friday Group and was like, "I want you to meet someone that's gonna explain everything. He's gonna help. We're gonna get a plan together to help you out, help these things out, essentially."
Bree's here to join as well.
Oh yeah, it's Bree
Getting the whole gang together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get in here.
I
One
don't think she
second.
could see the voice channel.
Can she not? No, she should, unless she also left the D&D.
Listen,
Nah.
I left a lot of discords. I love this
a-
Discord.
I get it. I get it.
A lot of good memories here. Okay.
There we
I
go.
didn't leave it. I just had it really far down. I'm sorry.
Well,
No,
No,
it's inactive. But why don't you look at this Discord longingly? I don't understand.
I look at it longingly every night, dude. Woo.
So we were actually, and then Bree, I'm really glad you came for this part. We were literally about to talk about what happened to session 3. I feel like there's this cool little like bounce. I didn't realize how close. Like, I knew the two groups were together, but I didn't realize like how close the two groups are actually interwoven, because I'm like, oh yeah, so this happened in Monday group, and then in Friday group, you guys went back to the town that Monday group went. It was completely in ruins, and yeah, it's just been bouncing back and forth. So, so Monday's group.
Oh,
Good memories.
Benji.
That's also a screenshot of the dragon kill, which is like pivotal, but we'll get to that.
Oh
yes.
yeah, that's
That's
a ways.
fake news.
Oh.
That doesn't have context.
Yeah, don't look at what Spot posted.
Yeah,
Irrelevant.
I'm not gonna show the Discord. No
Oh,
worries.
if we could get the full
We
version of
talking
that, that
about
would be
porn
great.
demon?
We were literally just talking about porn demon. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thoughts?
That's
Saved the campaign.
oh.
Saved my
Chat-
heart as well.
Chat, there was no entity called Porn Demon. It did. There's no, I was,
100%
It was
was.
Gub's patron that he
It's
was
not.
assigned to.
it's not in the world of IO. I promise you, there's no. Just going over all the inside jokes of the offline campaign. You see, chat, there is this character named Porn Demon. And I was like, no. So.
Brett's trying to add some respectability to this world, guys.
Yes,
We're doing
yes.
it for him.
And what, no, Seabear, you're not going to draw Porn Demon. Please, Seabear, don't.
But you could,
Holy
Seabear, you could if you wanted to.
No,
though.
don't.
You could all retweet it.
Beautiful.
Brett, just show the original porn demon.
Draw
on
my
stream.
patron.
No, gonna literally get banned off of
This is
Twitch, dude.
torture. This is torture.
This is absolutely, I'm the one that's like,
David.
I'm like, guys, anyways, and like Papa Twitch is looking over and like, what's this porn demon you're talking about? Like, no, I
the hell?
promise. It doesn't exist.
nothing.
Nothing. So this is, Sput, can you tell us a little bit about Gub before we continue? Because Dodger and Joe were talking about how, and I forgot about this, you were pretending to be so many different classes to not show that you were a warlock in the game.
I went through like the first 3 or 4 sessions playing it as a barbarian.
Yes.
But I almost died like 3 times because I had no HP because I was a fucking warlock.
You fought with a rake, didn't you?
Yeah.
We were
I
like,
almost
"What
died
the
on the first
fuck?"
campaign. I went down like 3 HP because I was just beating the shit out of something, doing like 1 damage.
So the part that we're currently at, specifically, we bounced back. So just like if there's like a Pepe Sylvia kind of like chain of events, like board up. The story begins with Monday group in Goldwater trying to get an amulet that Gale tasks them to get. They fought a void demon, which essentially is this manipulation of void. It destroys the town of Goldwater, and that's because the void energies that were being suppressed for so long were no longer being held back because the priest was holding it back for so long. So Goldwater destroyed. Friday group goes to Goldwater because they just looted a bandit camp that has a bunch of treasures that a benefactor is interested in purchasing. They meet in Goldwater to do that. Friday group decides that essentially they want to know like what he wants, how much they're willing to pay, either from trying to rise the price up or trying to figure out like what the intentions were. The benefactor is revealed as this really void touched person named Varamathis, who essentially at this point was more void than person. He escapes. Oh yeah. Yes.
Just for context, Friday group, which is the group that interacted with this guy first,
Yes.
the superior
had
group,
both. Had both, like very obviously void touched characters and obviously radiant touched characters.
Yes.
Our group was almost entirely balanced except for Wazy was radiant.
Wazy
So our
was
group
radiant.
had no void whatsoever. Their
Yeah.
group had both, like in spades.
Yeah.
Friday group had Chronovan, who was void touched.
I was
So-
avoid
so was
and Oswin was
Oswin.
void touched.
Yeah.
Wait, did Oswin lose it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the end of Act 1.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Muriel and Braun were both radiant. Braun was Lawman's character.
Wait, was
Fucking
Ven
Braun,
neutral
dude.
too?
Yeah.
Ven was
We were
neutral.
only 2 neutral. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, Ven was neutral, who her father did not appreciate, and we'll definitely get into that lore because that's big lore. That's big IO lore right there. And so with that kind of background, what was interesting about Kraken's character and Sam's character, Muriel and Chronovan, they were both siblings. So Muriel was radiant and Chronovan was void touched. And I was telling Sam, that's the one I really wish we got to explore that more during the campaign, because that would have also been an interesting storyline of like what that family was all about, to have that, what that sort of implication would have been. Oh, it was so good. So that's the chain of events. Is Monday group going to Goldwater to get an amulet tasked by Gale, who has a priest. The amulet doesn't do anything. Gale knows that. The priest is just suppressing the void there, and Gale's essentially putting a hit out on the priest. That's all he was tasked to do, and he got a group to do it by saying, "Oh, we need this amulet. Oh my God, we can't stop. He's a monster. We have to stop him." Essentially, and then Friday group going to the ruins of Goldwater to essentially do a trade for treasures they acquired, to find a void beast of itself, Varamathis, who teleported away, who left. Gale enters the picture on Friday group to say, I've been on the hunt for Varamathis. Did you find him? And it was like, oh no, he's trying, and essentially said right there, like, you need to meet my boss, essentially, my master, who will
Wait, was
explain.
Gale's Dave's character?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he named himself.
What did he show? The first time he showed up to our party, he said something like, "That's
Vigilance?
a void monster," while like we were fighting some void monster, and we were like, "Thanks, Captain Obvious."
Yeah. I forgot that.
Like he showed up and was like, "Look out, a monster!" And we're like mid combat, like, "What the fuck? You okay?"
Yeah, he came in the middle of like a fight. I'm trying to remember what Gale's identity was to you guys, because he gave you guys a different name, and I
His
just
name was really close to Ven's name. I remember feeling like, wait a second.
maybe it was like Vaughn or something like that.
I'm trying to remember. It was, yeah.
Yeah,
Started with V.
I don't remember, but yeah. And then there was so he's like, oh, let me take you over to the boss. And so that leads to Monday group. You guys were told by Gale, hey, wait here, I gotta do something. That something, of course, is going to Friday group to get them to do something else now. And
Right.
you guys intercepted the letter that Gale got, which was explaining, about the Hollow Tower and Veramathis and things like that. And you all were like, well, let's see what that's about. Let's go over there and
We
get
were
that.
all about the money, our group. We were
Yeah,
like,
you were trying
well,
to get
he
some
said we're-
treasures.
He said we're gonna get paid, so we'll just do it.
Mhm.
Get muns.
So that leads us back to Friday group, who met with Gale's master, which was one of the Io's like legacy characters, one of the three wise ones, Gaspar. So a little bit of lore of like Io yesteryear. There were three entities who essentially mastered both Div and Void powers, called the Three Wise Ones, and they essentially journeyed all across Io to seek a sort of balance between not only Div and Void, but just everything. So whenever there was great strife or anything like that, a Wise One, as the stories say, would appear, and then balance would be restored. It never really goes into any details how that balance is restored, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. History makes it assume that it was a good thing, that these were noble beings who were trying to just keep the world spinning, essentially. So Friday group was introduced to Gaspar, who introduces himself, talks a bit about Veramathis, saying, oh, Veramathis is my enemy. I do believe he's trying to bring back the Voidstar, and we need to stop that from happening. The first thing we need to do is to get a weapon that will defeat Veramathis, because he's a very powerful void being, essentially. And that's what tasked Friday group. What's up? You okay?
Nothing. No, we would have to jump so far ahead.
Oh, okay.
Like just wrote something in Discord that just reminded me of something ridiculous that happened in our campaign. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I can't wait to get to that. Holy crap.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff. I've been opening up a lot of tabs.
I'm gonna have to go, but I just wanted to drop that bit of lore because that
Fucking
did
good
happen.
memes.
That
There's some
did
good
happen.
Fucking memes here.
All right.
Spot, you're the best.
Bye,
Later,
Spot.
guys.
I spot.
So Friday group, you were tasked to go into a forest of radiance, essentially, and to get a sword from there.
Oh, yeah.
that was going
no.
that was
Oh,
going
yeah.
to that
Oh,
was
the sword.
yeah, that was going to defeat Veramathis. It was a holy radiant weapon, and it was the only one of the things that was going to help you kill this monster, Veramathis, essentially.
Yeah.
So you all, and like I said, feel free to jump in if there's like things I'm missing or things that you would like to mention about your character and things like that. So you guys went into a forest of radiance. And
Yeah.
oh, go on.
There.
Th-
It
there
was
was-
bad
there
for
was-
Void.
It was bad, yeah, and there was east and west, and we initially went east, and there was a little spooky tower thing, and then we went west, then we went north, and then we met those radiant knights.
Mhm.
And I remember
Holy shit, what the fuck?
I know.
I remember that it was the first time that we had an incident with our party, which was
Yes.
super interesting for
yeah.
me.
Yes.
We'd never had that kind of situation before, so
It was very interesting. So Lawman's character Braun was
Oh, right.
radiant, I want to
Oh,
say,
right.
and he
Yeah, I want to say maybe
I
just
wanna
a little
say-
bit.
Very militantly radiant.
Yeah.
and revealed how militantly radiant he was in this session, because everyone was essentially fighting and killing off these.
I'm pretty sure the Radiant Knights were passive. And
Yes.
I think I hucked a fireball at one of them because I
Yeah.
just knew they were not passive. And he did not like that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Braun, after seeing that attack happen, was literally just like Braun did not appreciate that because he's very of the light and radiant, and why are we attacking the light? They're it's blessed, it's holy. What are we doing here? We shouldn't be here, essentially. To the point where there was a bit of a kerfuffle, I believe, right?
Yes.
I feel like that happened. So what ended up happening was there was a sword in the middle of this forest, and a radiant dragon was guarding it. And the radiant dragon, I believe, became hostile at that point, or was immediately struck.
Well,
It was hit.
Well,
for...
before we got to that, it was so we had the kerfuffle between Oswin and Bronn, and we ended up subduing Bronn and tying him up with
Yeah.
rope.
We had to hold
Yeah.
the
Bind
person
him.
and then rope
Yeah.
him, tie him up.
Yeah.
So he was proper tied up. But when we got to the sword and the stone, I think you went up to it, didn't you? Because you were the
Yeah.
one that unsheathed it.
I went up to it and I recognized my family sigil on it, and that was huge.
Mm.
So
Yes.
yeah.
The seal of Tenebrum, which is what Ven's family line was, that she was
Yeah.
specifically trying to get the heck
Run
away
away from.
from.
Yeah.
Secret royalty.
Didn't the and there she is. Didn't
She
the
is in all her glory.
didn't the dragon materialize, Brett, once she touched the stone or something?
I think
Yes.
that is what happened. Yeah.
It was
Heavenly
a
dragon.
it was a guardian. Mountain just asked, isn't Oswin Al's snail? So Oswin, the snail, Al named after a famous wizard, and the most famous wizard of all was Oswin, because he is a fallen hero. So he named his snail after Oswin. Is that right, Joe?
You damn right. Greatest wizard of all time.
That's why Al's familiar is named Oswin after Gmart's character, who was wizard, right? You were a wizard, Gmart?
Yeah.
There are some stories that I could tell about Oswin that would ruin people's perspective of
Yeah.
how good and great
I
he
don't
was.
know what you mean by this.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry.
I
Wow.
don't know what you're talking about.
Oswin and Ren traveled together for a brief
Oh
moment.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, the dragon manifested. You all fought this like radiant dragon, essentially. Braun was having no bit of this. How did you keep Braun on your team after that? Because I think you guys defeated the radiant dragon.
You see, we're in a group of people RPing in a D&D party. So he was forced to come along. I don't remember how we placated him.
Yeah.
No, so we struggled on the dragon, and I believe someone was downed actually.
Yes.
Was it
we had to
Donovan?
cut Braun free. That's
Yeah.
right.
So that was what I was leading to. Yeah, because to save everyone. Sorry, not to pat myself on the chest here, but to
On the
save
chest.
everyone, I used my axe and I cleaved his.
Oh, that's right.
I cleaved his bindings in twine, and then he got up and used prayer of healing. But the way Lawman played it was he got up after I'd released him, and I said, "I trust you, laddie." And then he said, "I cast," like he was going to strike down.
gonna- Oh,
and I cast him.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
No, he was gonna attack
Yeah.
me and kill
And
me.
then he did prayer of healing, and he healed us all up. It was
Yeah,
great.
we didn't know if he was actually going to help or if he was gonna hurt the party. But he ended up helping the party in the end. And
It was bonding. Yeah.
and then
It was bonding.
It
Yeah.
was.
and from there, Ven acquired the Sword of Tenebrum, which was a
OP
sword of her family,
busted.
which was
She was strong. Yeah.
it was a holy sword they got early on, and it was with Ven literally the entire campaign.
Mm.
Yep. She was reluctant to use it at first because of the
Oh, yeah.
association with her family.
Don't
I
worry,
remember.
we metagamed her into using it because it was OP.
Yeah, you guys did actually, but I remember not using it for a while actually because it was like reluctance.
We're like, bro, you're actually throwing. Use this one.
Is that the map, Brett?
Yeah, so I'm showing some maps. Oh, hold on, I meant to change the overlay. I forgot to do that. A lot of the maps changed because a lot of events continued to, just things changed.
The forest withered.
Yeah,
I
the forest
that.
withered and died. Yeah, and actually,
burn it.
If you go
I thought we
east,
burned it.
Oh, we definitely set it on fire. That was, I think, what
did.
started the
Yeah.
argument between
we did
you
not.
and Ron.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Was he was like, you just burnt down the entire Radiant Forest.
Yep,
It was like,
fire
you
started
know,
spreading like crazy. It was really bad.
you guys burned a lot of forest down.
Like, what do you want me
There's
to
the
do? Not
dragon.
cast Fireball?
Yep.
yes, Greg.
What the fuck else do I have?
These are
All of these really cool magical spells that you can command.
Sorry, what Fireball?
Oh my God.
But I hit Doki this time.
Brett, I'd be fine. Brett,
Yes.
if you on that map, if you headed to the sort of southeast of where you're looking right now,
yes. Mhm.
to see where the east way from the entrance is.
Yes.
What was that we found?
You
That
guys
tower thing?
never. I don't think you ever went down that because
We didn't go inside. Yeah.
it was like a void sort of tower underneath. I don't know if it actually showed you guys, but the idea was, and I remember this specifically. So the mechanics of Div and Void, or Div Touch and Void Touch, where if you entered a really high radiant area, the Void Touch would become sickened and would actually be a little weaker as they were in there. This area had a Void font in it, where if the Void Touched were to use it, it would actually negate that effect for 24 hours.
Wait, we totally went in there.
Did you go
went
in there?
but we didn't go.
We totally went in there and we totally used that font or whatever.
Okay, cool.
I distinctly remember getting resistance to the
didn't Bron? It wasn't Bron outside. Didn't Bron
he didn't want to go in. He definitely didn't want to go in. He's
He
like,
was
I'll be
mad.
here. Yeah. We're not going to use that icky void power. Yeah. A lot of the maps, first of all, are very old considered. I feel like the maps really got a facelift in the recent campaigns. But yeah, they're extremely old. I used Roll20 all the time. But I was constantly updating the maps because these sites were revisited all the time by other parties. Later on, and just to briefly touch on it, and then we'll continue on the storyline. Monday Group in Act 2 visited this forest as Radiant priests were trying to revive it. So we never saw the aftermath of if that was revived or not, because they were sacrificing people. They were sacrificing very sick people that had they weren't going to live anyways, and they accepted.
Dude, that whole scene sucked.
Yes.
That all sucked. When our group found the Radiant Knights who were sacrificing people, and the people were like, "We're gonna die anyway. Like,
We're gonna die
just let us-"
painfully.
That was season 2.
That was season 2. Yes.
Yeah, it was. But like,
I'm just
you
touching on it
mentioned
now.
and I was just saying that it sucked.
Yeah.
There were the aftermath of the Radiant Forest was that priests from Atlas were trying to bring it back to life, but to do that they needed a great sacrifice of power of people, essentially. And these were very sick and ill people that were dying of painful illnesses to begin with. And by this sacrifice, they promised a painless death for them while doing a greater good. And since these people were already going to die and essentially die painfully, they accepted that they were going to sacrifice. And there was a bit of a debate. I don't know who, but I know there was a bit of debate like, well, we should stop this. I feel like, Joe, your character wanted to stop it, right?
Yeah, Wazy and Joe, Wazy and Sterling had like a lot of. Well, Wazy had trouble with it because she likes situations in which she can be like, I hit you, and then it's done, right? And it was a situation with a bunch of people being like, please just let us do this.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, but this is fucked up. Like, she hated it.
Yeah. And in the end, I think, everyone walked away. Everyone just.
Yeah, we walked away.
Just let it happen. So we don't know what the aftermath of that was. And maybe we'll find out in an IO campaign for anyone who's in Kathos. So they got the sword. Friday Group ended up getting the sword and returned to Gaspar Oh no, you didn't reach in a gas bar. I think it was like get the sword and then go to the hollow tower. You have a lot of avenues and paths that you can essentially take. Friday group went through the ruins of Alabaster, which was this old holy city that was destroyed during the first war between Div and Void. And at that point, I believe you guys encountered Sir Cherik.
The dickhead.
Yes.
Yes. The biggest dickus of the whole campaign.
Biggest dickest.
Sir Cherik was a knight of Tenebrom specifically. And then Bree's character was like, I don't want to be seen, but because she ran away and Tenebrom's family was looking for her. But also at the same time, the Tenebrom family of knights, extremely racist against anyone who's void touched. It's radiant, maybe balanced, but void touched, no. So they had to like hide Bree, they had to hide Ven, they had to hide Oswin and Chronovin, and I think. If I believe this correctly, I believe Braun was the only one that spoke with
Pretty sure
Cherik.
Braun just went up and was all like chummy with
Oh,
him.
super chummy.
And it just worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they all
Well
went their
met,
separate
friend.
path. Yeah. I think that's exactly what happened. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, so now Friday group is traveling to the Hollow Tower. They've been tasked to kill Vermanthus because he's trying to revive the Voidstar.
Well,
Oh,
Brett,
please.
wasn't that kind of like a moral dilemma for Bron? Because first of all, we just had that party infight over that very concept.
Yeah.
Then he kind of proved himself by healing us and sticking with us.
Uh-huh.
And then he was given an opportunity to, turn us over. And I think some of us were hiding. I remember I was hiding behind
Yeah.
a log.
Everyone
just about a
everyone
rock.
was hiding. Yeah, I feel like.
So he came through.
And he didn't. Yeah, he
Yeah,
didn't turn
trust.
anyone. He didn't turn anyone
Yeah.
in. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
But he was very chummy with Cherik because Cherik was like, "By the light." He was like, "Oh, by the light." Oh,
I like that thing. Same interest, same hat.
exactly. Exactly. So at this point, Friday group is on the way to the Hollow Tower where Vermanthus is. Meanwhile, Monday group has arrived at this Hollow Tower. Essentially, I'm like going through all of my music. Yeah, here we are. And at that point, yep, that's it. Perfect. When you guys arrived, so when you guys arrived, you found a town, correct? A
Yeah,
void town
it's a-
specifically.
It was a town that was entirely filled with void families. And we like talked about how to get in for a while, but I think that we like observed long enough to be like, it seems like it's totally normal people in there. And we wound up just going right through the front. Like we just went to the gate, and I think we pretty much always let Sterling talk. Sterling said something along the lines of like, hello, we're here to, meet void people. I don't remember what, like.
Sterling, do you remember that scene?
I
Oh, there we are!
Yep.
Yeah, what the hell?
Oh, we're right there!
This is the aftermath of that.
Right.
But
left.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what I can't remember what we said for that one, but I do remember that we I remember we went through the Void Town pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because I think the pre-campaign, the first like season was I think 3 or 4 sessions max.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was 4
It was pretty quick. I think 6 sessions. It was definitely like 6
I
sessions.
don't know if it was that long
It was-
because
I think it was
'cause-
6, yeah.
It was
I
very
don't
quick.
even know if it was that long.
I was giving you
because
guys like a level a session essentially.
Yeah.
I checked the time span, and we started in the beginning of January and we ended at the end of January. So it has to be a full
When
session.
did we start again? What year was it? Just curious.
2019
18?
January.
Oh, I think we
January
started in March, right?
2019.
January, I think.
Mm.
Wait, maybe. Let me check.
It's so hard.
What?
Time.
March. But
Time.
I
Started
think we
in
played for like a month.
December.
No.
Time
no, it
is
wasn't
just
December.
time
I
is
thought we
just
played
so
this in like
weird.
2016. What?
Guys?
Time is just so weird. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, either way.
Either way,
You guys arrived here. This was like just before. Oh, at this point in time, by the way, I believe you both had received visions. One of you, either one of you or some of you received visions of the other party.
You had like the wisdom check. Or whatever.
Yeah,
We
and I
saw
think
you
it was
kill
the
the
Force.
dragon. The radiant
That's what it
dragon.
was. Yeah. So you guys at some point in time saw a vision. I think in the forest before this, you saw a vision. Monday group saw a vision of Friday group killing a dragon of radiant light, and everyone was kind of assuming like, who are these people? And they seem kind of evil if they're killing like radiant dragons. Meanwhile, the Friday group received a vision of these people adorned in like void armor, and weapons of void.
They just gotten like kitted out or whatever.
Yeah, and there was this suspicion that maybe like Monday group was up to some evil stuff. Essentially,
Look, you were priming us up for a fucking D&D Civil War.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it didn't pop off.
That's
Yeah,
hey,
we were cool.
that's
oh wait, we
fine.
were cool, dude. Do you remember when we were walking up the first time together to see each other?
Well,
And-
before we get to that, let me tell
I
you.
remember I tried to break Chronovan's fingers. That's all I remember.
Well, before that, Monday group went up to the Tower of Veramanthus essentially and explored around that tower. I'm seeing if I have the map still. I don't. I kind of have it. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me go over here
So
real
this
quick.
is what the world looks like through the DM's eyes.
Yeah, I've
huh?
never
I
seen
was
this
literally
magic.
about
Yeah.
to be like, man, I've never seen all of this.
It's just
in Roll20
drop
before."
downs, huh?
Well, yeah. And
The drop
was
downs
magic.
always were.
yeah, everyone ascended to up the Tower of Veramanthus to encounter Veramanthus. And Veramanthus.
Oh, we saw a ghost in here. Wait, we saw us in there, right? We saw a spirit.
Oh yeah. You saw a spirit somewhere because I think there was a spirit of the tower, that was like illusions of Veramanthus, and I think Datus was trying to like talk with him to figure it out.
Datus became. By the way, I just checked. We started at the very end of March and went into the end of April.
Okay.
I think it was 5 sessions.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, 5 or 6 sessions.
We were going up this tower, and Waisley was having none of it. She was just like, let's just keep going. And Daedalus was trying his hardest to take in as much lore as possible and
Yes.
become friends. Like the spirit of Varimathras appeared to us, and like we saw like his history, like kind of like remnants of him. And Daedalus made friends with him, and was like actually thinking like, hey, dude, he's a bro. Like we're cool with him now, and yada yada. And then we went up to. We
His-
like kind of kept going until the roof, right?
Yeah, so you all eventually went over to his chamber where he was casting some sort of ritual with a stone that was lodged within the statue, and then a battle started. And I'm not entirely. No, go on.
I think. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, please. If I would love to hear your input because I may or may not be correct.
We grappled him.
Yes, you were trying to get the stone, right?
Yeah, we're trying to go
He was obviously like doing a ritual, I think we didn't want to kill him. We wanted to like ask him stuff.
Well,
So-
Gale rejoined the party at
Yes.
this point and was like, "Oh, we got to get up to that
stole it.
tower," and was like, "Yeah, he was trying to He's like, we got to get up to that tower. There's like
Yeah.
a stone we need, right?"
Wait, he didn't. Had he
No,
joined
'cause-
us at this point, or was it?
Yeah,
I
he
thought
came
that
back-
we
do you know why?
grappled him, and then he walk in like doing this sort of shit, and then took the. Like,
Well, yeah,
didn't
yeah,
he
sort
just
of, yeah.
show up?
Yeah, no,
Well-
he showed up at the bottom of the tower because I remember.
Yeah, because
he
I
had
see
us
him
fight,
right there. I see his token where he
yes.
joined you guys.
Oh
'cause
fuck!
we had a
you're
fight
right.
with those these fellas. We had a fight with these fellas,
Mhm.
and that's when he first joined us. And then at the top, we were fighting Varimathras. It was kind of a tough fight, and as we were beating him, or we thought we were, they went into this like invulnerable kind of orb,
Mhm.
almost like this kind of invulnerable.
Globe of invulnerability.
And then, Gale came in and he was like, huh. And it grabbed the orb and like we found out we were betrayed and he just teleported out of there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he like went through a portal or teleported or something. And
Yeah.
we were like, what? And then Varimathus did a lore dump of like, I'm trying to stop the Voidstar from being like produced, and we were
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck? We thought you were trying to make the Voidstar. What the shit is going
Yeah,
on?"
little charisma bastard.
So Veramathis, his objective of what happened, or why he had this, he was trying to get enough power to essentially kill Gaspar, since Gaspar was a powerful mage. Veramathis was created by Gaspar to see what the void could do. So essentially, Veramathis was known as a void golem, a void construct. That was essentially a person that was void touched, but he wanted to see how far, if we pushed void all the way on the scale of like when someone's radiant and void like that, he pushed Veramathis all the way. It was an experiment. Veramat, which is the harshest lesson that Gaspar refers to in the letter to Gale. And at that point in time, that's all he was trying to get a mass amount of power. Veramathis was still kind of like in the wrong, because he was trying to mass even more power so that he can kill Gaspar. That was his like only objective at that point. He wanted vengeance. But then, yeah, Gale took the stone. Veramathis explained what it was. And at that point, Veramathis, I believe, was weakening. He was dying at that point in time, because he was also using the stone like to stabilize or keep himself alive. But before he died, he imbued him. Either he offered to sacrifice himself, or he was dying. But either way, he imbued himself or his power into various pieces of equipment of everyone's design. Which gave like +2 bonuses to who, like, you choose a piece of equipment, I'll give you a +2 bonus to it, and then I'm gonna die. I'm going to be sacrificed at that point in time.
And I'm gonna die.
And then and so funny enough, in the misdemeanor, the rapier, which was Sterling's rapier, is the rapier of Veramathis.
Right.
Gifted here after
Yeah.
he fell.
And he was gifted here to Sterling specifically. And Sterling used that for the entire campaign. And now, misdemeanor, I believe Captain Armstrong
Armstrong is using it now.
he got that off of the armor of the keep that Sterling lived in. And now he has the sword. So that sword's been around for over 500 years now, just being passed back and forth.
It's whatever.
Veramathis explains that a Voidstar, Gaspar is going to use this to try and bring forth the Voidstar, and that he needs to be stopped. So it's at this moment that our parties meet, because
we were on our way into town as they were on their way out.
Yeah.
yes. And
we also heard screams, didn't we? Wasn't this town fucked?
Yeah,
that's because what you guys did.
Yeah. So everyone essentially perished in. I'm trying to remember why it was. Oh, I think it's because Veramathis this was also a void site that Veramathis was trying to keep under control, and by Veramathis' death, I know Gale just really, it was Gale essentially that just really fucked it all up. This area absorbed in all of the void citizens into the void site, and so there was basically a lot of death. No one was left. It was just ash and things like that. So they walk into this abandoned, empty, dead town. A Friday group does, and Monday group's coming down, decked out in all of this void gear, standing like warlords.
One of them was I want to say wearing Veramathis' robes or something.
Yes.
You guys had his robes, and you just like
Gub,
gave
I
them,
think, right?
I think
Just put the robes on.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you guys gave them to us, because then I, as Oswin, wore those for the rest of the campaign. This nasty, bloody fucking robe.
But yeah, you all essentially at that point went in, and then at that point, Benji, what were you gonna say when you guys met?
Well, I remember we lined up and we were facing each other down almost.
It was like
and
Avengers Civil War.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely.
There he was.
And I broke the silence by running up to Wazy, and that was like immediately it became friendly. Except for Sterling, who I was always kind of curious about. But I actually do. Go on.
Benji's character Doki was basically like Wazy's dad.
Yeah, which is weird considering you were like 8 foot tall and I was like 3 foot tall.
Yeah, it was so good though, and I don't know that anybody knew that.
No one knew that.
I think only we knew that up until
I didn't
that
even
point,
know
so
that until that came up. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and that kind of broke the ice really well. There were still
Mhm.
obviously tensions, and we'll get to those, but there was a big moment because, throughout the campaign, and I linked it earlier, but there was a letter as well that I sent you, and I thought it was a really cool way to interplay between 2 separate groups, is to have characters that can send messages to each other.
Yeah.
And so that relationship was super important to my enjoyment of Doki. But yeah, it was like staring each other down, run up, suddenly tension's gone, and then people start talking, and then the tensions start coming up just a little bit, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, I also feel like anytime Kraken's character comes up, I feel like Kronovan is kind of an instigator, you know what I mean, to begin with a little
I remember
bit.
making fun of Kronovan. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally it was Sterling.
Jocks
Sterling
making fun of-
Sterling said something to Kronovan. Kronovan, I think, went to slap Sterling,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
when Wazy grabbed his
You
fingers
caught
and
his
went to
hand.
break his fingers. And everybody was like, okay,
And
hold
that's when
on.
the fireballs started flying.
Weren't you like leaning up against a wall in an alleyway, Sterling, to the left? I remember.
Yeah, I went off with Oswin and Kronovan, but I can't remember what we spoke about.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
what
remember.
what the hell was that? Because we never figured that out.
I don't remember that.
I remember we went off, and I remember there was an instrument involved. I just can't remember what it was. I remember Sterling was asking if Muriel and Ven were single, and was I was hitting on Sam.
Oh, there we
So
go.
fun.
There we
That
go.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why Kronovan would get defensive.
That's why
too,
Kronovan
yeah.
got
Yeah.
mad. Yeah, because
Okay.
it was his sister.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
fuck.
my
I
God.
totally forgot about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Flipped to Muriel.
That sounds
That's good.
yep, that sounds right.
It all comes together.
But yeah, I think at that point you guys actually had a discussion. Well, because Monday Group was the only one that knew that Gaspar was this villain essentially. Monday Group never met Gaspar, so he was just told about it by Veramathis. Like, oh, Gaspar is this bad guy. Meanwhile, this group's coming up being like, oh, he seems okay.
He's our benefactor, Smile.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know how it ends up getting persuaded. I think
I'm pretty sure we were very, very accommodating of the new information. So
Yeah.
it was just like, hey, he's actually bad. And we were just like, shit, I guess he is actually bad. Okay.
I wanna say that there was this like, I don't know, and then but Doki probably would have stepped forward and been
imagine
like,
because
I
Doki
trust
and Wazy were
Wazy.
so-
Yeah.
I think he was just like, well, I trust what she says. And it's like, yeah. all right.
Oh no, I specifically remember saying something along the lines of, I like you guys and I've known you for a few weeks, but this is basically my daughter. So yeah, my
So
alliance
it's about
there
choosing
was.
sides.
Oh yeah, I was totally gonna be on your side during that.
Yeah. And that started a very interesting season 1 finale because I was at that point DMing, I want to say 10 or 11 people, and that was a shit show. That was an absolute shit
It
show.
really was. It was all of us
It was
talking
fun, though.
over each
It was
other
so
for like
fun.
4 hours. It was great.
I'm
It was
glad.
fun,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm so glad
Took a lot of
everyone
time
enjoyed
for
it.
rounds.
It was stressful for me,
Oh, yeah,
but I
combat took forever.
yeah, it was extremely stressful. But essentially, at this point, both groups were together and were tasked to stop Gaspar, figure out what the heck Gaspar was trying to do, what the hell Gale was up to, and stop a Voidstar from being revived. So they understood that they were going to the city of Alabaster to do so. Essentially, what was discovered is Gaspar was going to try and bring back a Voidstar by doing this big, huge ritual that was all across northern Kathos. It needed 3 void points, and the three void sites needed to essentially go to the intersection where it was like the strongest like void middle point. And the 3 void sites were
Ugh, Bronze here.
Goldwater. Oh,
By the light.
There he is.
there he is, the boy.
Good boy.
I heard we're slaying Voidstar.
Yeah. Good times.
Lolman, aka the Pious Braun. We were talking about the Radiant Forest really quick, Lolman. About how that was the first like kerfuffle in Friday group because, and maybe you can also shed some light, Teehee, on what happens in the Radiant Forest, because everyone was kind of like fighting the Radiant Dragon and the Radiant Guardians and things like that. And at one point you turned on the party, isn't that right?
Damn right I did. Stood against everything I stood for. I don't know if you like. I've just woke up literally like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to give background on my character or just that
Yeah,
moment.
please. Yeah, feel free to do whatever you want. We're kind of like we're just going chronologically over the first season of the first offline campaign. Everyone was just about to go off to fight the Voidstar, but yeah, if you want to share your character.
So that moment in the Radiant Forest was tense because my character, Mr. Brawny Boy, was he was well, super early childhood. He was like in a strict and not great household, and mom and pop were the like pretty regular townsfolk, but they followed the Church of the Light and stuff like that. But none of them were div touched, but they were good people, just strict and kind of overbearing. And so Braun looked to find his own interest and stuff in the streets of the town that he lived in, and tried to stay out of the home as much as he could, where he came across a lot of void touched and like void sections of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And when he reached out to them for interest or making friends and stuff, there was like a specific moment where he was like basically not like mugged, but like a bunch of miscreant little void touched kids in this alley fucking picked on him, and he got really sad and he cried because he was a little baby. He's a little baby boy.
Little baby Braun.
I mean, you can kind of tell Braun used to be a little baby.
I'm learning so much more about Braun than I ever did.
But in the middle of that like pick-on sesh in the alleyway, a nice older kid who was a div-touched kid was like, "Hey, leave him alone," and then they became good friends. And then that kid ended up going to serve the Church of Light as like a acolyte. And some years later, yada yada. I don't want to do my whole backstory, but blah blah blah. Ended up being basically useless to society. So the dad was like, "All right, you have to go serve the Church of Light." And Braun was like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Dude,
I'm gonna do that." Because like the one kid that was stood up for me when I had nobody was light touched boy, and I'm gonna freaking do the same thing. I'm gonna stand up for the people, freak these void guys. And then obviously serving the church for like 5 years or whatever really got instilled in his head that void is bad, div is good. And then so then
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
years later, ended up in the light forest, or the light touched forest, and he saw for the first time a fucking like entire world that was blessed by this light that he'd been worshiping. And then we come across these guards that were light touched, and he was like, "Whoa." Or like light forged, I think that was what they were.
Yeah.
And it was just like pure radiant soldiers of the light, and it was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And he like holds his hand out, and his eyes are sparkling. He's gonna go and say hi to them, and fucking fireballs start flying at them. And
Yeah.
and then he looks to his party, he's fucking
The two void mages smirking.
That was exactly it.
Yeah. And then I think was it right? I don't think it was right away that I turned on, and I was just like, "Fuck! Like, what are we doing? Like, this can't be right." And then
No, you immediately went for it, and we had to hold person you.
Was it right away?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like we're gonna.
And then we fought
went back and forth.
Then we fought the dragon, and I saw that like a bunch of people were gonna die, so I did help fight.
We untied you. Well, we let you help us.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
Ron doesn't
heroically
remember that
ripped out
kind
of
of
the
stuff.
ropes and went to save my party.
I broke my ropes
I
with
broke
a
my
single
bonds.
flex.
The light seared a hole in my ropes, and I was free, unchained.
But yeah, that gives a good perspective of Braun. He's just
I think
like,
that's a
the
great
light's always
perspective,
been
Braun.
great to me. I am, super devout, and that's because he was my
Light makes
he was my
right.
first character, so he was super fucking basic.
That's I like Braun. I like everyone's characters, honestly. They all had, even because a lot of people's first characters were like that, and I was like, yeah, they have flaws, they have goals, they just ambitions, and that's really good. I especially like characters that have flaws and players acknowledge their flaws, because I think that's super important for D&D characters, in my opinion. You want to be really cool and epic, but at the same time, you want to show that, hey, I'm a flawed individual because I'm a person, and that's where that is. Before I continue, does anyone want to share anything about their character's background? I
just remembered a moment from when we all met, and I think Wazy and Ven had night watch by the fireplace. Sorry.
Oh
Fire. And Ven thought she was so cool because she's never seen like a strong like woman in her life.
Oh, I remember that.
She was just like looking at her, but every time Wazy looked back, she would like avert her gaze. Just looking on like, oh, she's so cool. I want to be like that.
Did you
my
guys?
gosh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I was like, did you guys talk like at all? Or
I
was
don't really think so. No, she was just really shy. But
I remember we did a perception check and we heard something,
Mhm.
and the both of us like went to go and look. It was a very like terse conversation though, of like, nope, there's nothing over there.
yeah.
Kind of a thing. But I remember after like season 1 or whatever you want to call it, after that ended, I remember Bree and I talking, and I was like, it would be tight if somehow the story like went in a direction where eventually Wazy was like a bodyguard for Ven. Like, that would be so cool. It never happened, but
Oh, that would have been wholesome as all heck.
Very wholesome.
That would have been wholesome as all heck.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. I'm checking. Oh yeah, I think, is this what I use for Alabaster? Maybe. I don't see any Alabaster towns.
Alabaster.
See the
Alabaster.
post I linked? I was about to screenshot that in our campaign now playing.
That's so good. Wow.
Epic.
That's just a universal meme. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, so both parties were trying to head over to where Gaspar was, which was the middle of these ruins of Alabaster, which had skeletons actually roaming around, which were the like ancient soldiers who never found rest.
Oh yeah.
And but now the site was becoming more of a void site, so the Radiant characters were starting to feel it, because this is becoming essentially like a void site because of the ritual.
Stink zone.
Void stinky zone.
Zone.
And eventually everyone what the who's rolling? And then I can't continue because that history check was too low. Good job, Sterling. You ruined it. You ruined it. Well, so this approached the end of Act 1 because you all got to where Gaspar and Gale were preparing to revive the Void, essentially. Gaspar's objective essentially was that the Radiance was becoming very overpowerful, mainly because of, and this wasn't mentioned in Act 1, but mainly because of Lord Tenebrum's influences and his successful connections with Div. So Gaspar was trying to essentially reset it all by who's writing P? God dang it, P.
No, that was there. That was there back then.
I literally
Log in.
I saw Gmart come in, write PP on the map, and then leave.
No, I think it was Sterling.
It was red. I saw you, dude. Sterling's blue. You can't do that. So yeah, Gaspar was essentially trying to reset it back to its balance by bringing out that. You have a 12 deception, a plus 12 to deception. Holy crap!
Sterling was a fucking.
That's how the guy. That's
He was
how he
an
lives.
actual
That's how he
broken
lived.
monster.
I was still stronger.
That
Yeah,
hides
well,
the
history remembers
darkness.
otherwise, bro.
So, yeah. So Gaspar was announcing that's why he wants to bring the Voidstar, so that there was going to be deaths, but there would be a balance again. And then Gale comes and reveals his master plan, where he wants to revive the Voidstar, side with the Voidstar, because Gale also kind of had a bit of a messed up childhood, and he just wants power to control, essentially. And so he wanted to take the power of the Voidstar for himself. So Gale tried to do like a backstab betrayal of Gaspar so that he can revive the Voidstar on his own. And Gaspar then revealed that Gale was actually housing the Voidstar, essentially. That Gale was the Voidstar, and this ritual was only to bring that to life. And that's when we got this lovely image. Let me see if I can find it. So everything's been everything's been moved around quite a bit. I'm looking. That's the campsite. That's... Maybe I moved it down. 1 second, I'm trying to find it. Is it this one? Yeah, it was this one. This site over here, where essentially Gale exploded and ruptured out as Voidstar was birthed from him.
The finale.
That was the finale, and that's where the longest battle in D&D history.
How many people do we have total? 11 something?
Yeah, 11 people.
Yeah.
Was everyone fighting the Voidstar in like this sort of like giant void dimension, essentially.
Two sides.
We were on opposite sides and we had to fight visages.
It was like a
of
Final
ourselves.
Fantasy raid or something.
It was a giant Final Fantasy raid as you guys were fighting against the Voidstar, which was, I believe, let me see, this graphic over here. It was two peering eyes in the darkness of space, and it would just constantly like move around to see who was going to strike and attack.
Of us,
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to fight ourselves.
It created these giant like manifestations of everyone,
Our party.
essentially. I would have probably made it even more detailed, but the fights were
Who's
going
that
so long.
cutie?
Who's that
Who's
over
that?
there? Ooh.
Whoa, hey, come on. Get out of here.
But yeah, everyone fought off against the Voidstar, and every time this visage was being broken, it would weaken, which was literally like the only time that anyone could, like, the radiance would essentially peer in, and everyone at that point would like go all out to try and actually damage the Voidstar. I forgot how many hit points it had.
Why am I in melee range? What was I thinking?
But after, like I said, the longest fight ever, there are definitely things I would have done a little bit better. The last fragment of the Voidstar literally came back at the throne of Alabaster, and yeah, everyone finished it off, fought it. It was like the final fight. There's definitely things that I've been thinking about, and I'll reveal like later on in future games if we ever have a like big group battle dynamic again, to kind of like ease the time flow a little bit for progress. But yeah, as a DM to other DMs, if you're like, I want to DM a group of 11, reconsider it. I've seen it happen. It doesn't work. I tried to make it work, and I was like, yep, that went as well as I thought it was going to. But yeah, after this, I'll delete this real quick. I believe after that, at the end, everyone started kind of like going their own way, right?
Oh, what's his dick showed up?
Nah, Sherrick showed up.
Yeah,
And
Sherrick.
then Oswin,
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Yeah, and then
What did you do, Oswin?
Well, look, I thought I was a big brain wizard, so Ven being the wanted princess, I was like, Psh, I got this. I used disguise self on myself, and I made myself Ven, and I said, I'm the princess. Now, I didn't realize that disguise self runs out after like a couple of hours, so
Yep.
I got arrested immediately.
That's exactly what happened. So at the end of the fight against the Voidstar, Sir Cherrick and his guard show up because they were going off to fight whatever this weird void influence was happening in the city of Alabaster, since they're like essentially crusaders against the void. They bump into the group. They bump into to everybody. And Ven, of course, was trying to keep herself. I don't know if Ven was, I think he saw Ven, right? And then there was a
no.
switch around.
Switcheroo.
I was really
Yeah, you got caught.
in a rock. I thought.
No, you got caught, and he
Cast
was like,
invisible,
"Good, we'll
didn't you?
take you home." Like, we'll take you home. And then I like switcherooed like parent trapped you.
Didn't you cast invisibility on her or something?
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
I don't know.
I
There's
thought
a lot of
you
tricks.
hid behind
I,
me.
I remember like
Yeah, you
hiding or something, and then
Right.
Oswin coming out.
You hid behind the pillar.
Yeah.
God.
All I know is it was a
imagine
bad
doing
plan.
that. Imagine going to jail for 3 months instead of getting lots of cool loot like me, Sam,
Imagine
and Craig.
imagine power gaming your
Yeah,
time
yeah,
skip.
yeah.
Hey, what did you
Oh
during
my
your
God.
time skip? I slayed a
fucking
billion
power
dragons.
game.
No,
dude.
wait, but the time skip like differences in terms of what our groups decided to do was so funny because I
Yeah.
remember talking with Sam and Sam being like, yeah, we just like decided that a bunch of us were gonna go and like kill some stuff and get some loot. Meanwhile, Joe and I were like, well, Sterling went on a drunken bender and was depressed for months and became an alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
And
So the reason why, so the end of the act 1 is G-Mart's character Oswin, disguised as Ven, goes off with Sir Cherrick back to the kingdom of Wendolin.
We didn't make it very far.
Didn't make it very far.
couple hours.
Oswin got imprisoned immediately. But Braun went with them as well. Braun at that point left the party and went to Wendolin to essentially be with the holy people, which he was like, this is super cool. But what was discovered later on is because the Voidstar was defeated, 1/8 of the void was gone. It ruptured out this giant explosion that literally, and the best way to describe it, like reconstructed the DNA of those that were still void, and even the potential for some balance. So I had Kraken and Oswin I had Cronovan and Oswin make a constitution check. Oswin failed, or Oswin got a lower score. Cronovan's constitution was really good, and essentially the reaction was if you got a certain DC, you would not become void touched anymore. So Oswin immediately at that point became balanced. What was worse was if you, I'm sorry, Joe?
I think you took a little bit of damage as well.
You took a little bit of damage as well as you're
but
being
then we long
rebuilt.
rest, so who cares?
Yeah. Well, and that's so there was a damage component to that. But also if you failed by enough, which no one did, you would have actually become radiant because you would have actually lost
That would have been fucking wild.
bits of your void. That didn't happen. Cronovan kept being a void touched. Oswin became balanced. Everyone in the area was dealt like 46, 86 points of damage or something.
Oh yeah, there was the damage element.
For those that were void
that's why it
touched.
matters,
I forgot that civilians had like 2 HP.
There was a massive death.
Yes.
tons of people
30%.
died.
So 20% of void touched in the northern area of Kathos died because of that result, which did lead to, I believe, Sterling going on a drunken stupor because he essentially
realized that he
committed a
wasn't a hero.
genocide. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of like how everything ended. Yeah, and that what is like, I think like a bunch of like Sam and Kraken were like, oh, we're going adventuring, so they just got a bunch of loot.
I cannot believe that they
blew
got
off
away
steam.
with. They got
Listen,
away
we
with.
blew off
We
steam.
just want to keep playing D&D during our time skip.
Because there was this time skip.
Say what you want.
Level us up if
Lantern
you
of
want.
revealing. We had a saddle. I could put on a fucking.
right off. I go to
Yeah,
jail.
fuck
Kraken
you.
comes back flying. Fuck off.
It was
When I found that out
epic.
after my characters got alcoholism.
Yeah.
You get -5 to Constitution. I get flying booties and a fucking lantern that
It
can
was
show
a
me
3 month
secrets.
time skip. 2 months in jail. 1 month on the run.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So that during the between Act 1 and Act 2 of the campaign, Oswin gets arrested because he impersonated the princess. Braun stuck with them. Braun, by the way, and let me know, Lawman, if I'm speaking out of turn, didn't help Oswin escape, but instead
He tried to convert me.
yeah, try and teach him
Hell
ways
yeah.
of the
He
light.
tried to classic
Dick.
visit a prisoner hey man, I brought you some food, we should talk, and it's like, fuck off, you're a traitor.
Have you heard about the light?
Because out of
You're
everyone,
balanced now. You're not shitty anymore.
well,
We could fix you.
the big thing, which was a huge impact to Kathos and Lwendolyn and King Tenebrom, was that Braun was the only one to actually take full credit for killing
Yeah, no,
the
that
Voidstar.
fucking showed
Oh my
up, they're
God,
like,
that had
who
so many
is the
fucking ripple
heroes? And I
effects.
was like, hey, hi.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
So,
a hero, just
I
in
took-
jail.
Full credit.
yeah. Braun was the only one. He took full credit for killing the Star. Became known as the Star Slayer. And immediately became knighted, instantaneously in the Southern Kingdom of Lwendolyn, and became a Knight of Tenebrom. Tenebrom knighted him, and because of that, Lord Tenebrom essentially moved up to power extremely quickly because he's bringing quote unquote salvation because he's sided with the Star Slayer essentially. Meanwhile.
Yeah, I had a Game of Thrones time off.
Yeah.
when People were doing their other things. It was
Yeah.
like, what do you do when Lord Tenebrom wants to ascend to the throne of All King? And I'm like, what if we played the other
His
houses?
right-hand man.
Braun during the time skip was experiencing political intrigue. Oswin was jailed. Ven was trying to free Oswin because Ven felt guilty.
Yeah. Really guilty. And then when she came home, she found out that her dad had killed her previous boyfriend. So that's great.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, Tenebrom's a dick.
Yeah.
apparently.
So when she first ran away, she was aided by this guy that she basically grew up with, and he basically took the hit to get her to escape and didn't tell her he was doing that. So he had been in prison for a really long time, and then she came back and he was dead. So
What? That's so
Yeah.
sad.
really sad.
he helped her escape, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
So-
Tenebrom offed him immediately. Because Tenebrom, well, first of all, Tenebrom was pissed that he didn't have a son. He was also, and his wife died, and he blamed that also on Ben. That was
Yeah.
clearly Ben's fault.
Everybody hates Van.
Yeah, that's the name of the show, actually. It's coming
Yeah.
to you soon.
Well, not everyone, just Tenebrom, even though he would never admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's the old king, so.
Well,
I
that's
mean, his
he's
opinion matters the most.
he's
so-
perfect, yeah, and Ven's the pariah, unfortunately, and it's just really just. Oh man, Tenebrom just has it rough. That was Lord Tenebrom's logic. Was just like, I did everything that I could.
Things are so hard, Tenebrom. Why don't we have more money?
Yeah.
You had so much fucking money after that skip, Lawman. It was crazy.
I had gold. No, I had
felt so
platinum. I
cheated. I
counted
felt
in
so
platinum.
cheated.
Oh yeah, he got the he got a
From an
squire.
out-of-character perspective, I
House.
felt so
Mansion.
scammed.
It's that's the beauty I feel like of D&D. Like it sometimes game balance wise it doesn't work out like that where it's
Well, look,
like
if I had known, because here's the thing, I thought we were taking like an RP, like 3-month skip.
Right.
If I had known, I would have told you, I break out of jail and I go and rob all of the libraries in the fucking city because I need spells. Like that's what I would have done.
I learned all the
And I would have
spells.
gotten so many. So yeah, I learned all of the spells because fuck it, we got 3 months.
well, you were the one that did decide to go with Cherik.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying you
I
played the wrong move.
I know. I played out my RP in like good faith, and I come back to my team being like, "Dude, we raided a dungeon and got super magic items, and
Well, I
Braun's
mean,
a god now."
Also,
Like,
well,
what?
yeah, and Sterling.
But at least you have the memories.
Sterling
oh, and you don't,
found-
'cause there's a time skip.
Yeah, and Sterling found alcoholism. So I mean, just everyone else was like, we just adventured for 3 months, and I wanted to loot stuff. And it's like,
Wazy did kind of like a mid zone. Wazy like went off and was a
mercenary for a while.
Mercenary for a while, and wound up getting like wrapped up in a war against some dragons, and was like, this
You were a
feels
mercenary
really fucked up.
for the Dragonheart, for Dragon Slayers. Yep.
Yeah.
And you were like,
then
nope.
Made a ton of money, which was great, but then ran into Sterling, who was broke and dying from alcohol, and so
Gub returned back to the abandoned Gullwater, which he then named Gubwater, and he just
Oh, dude, I've been waiting to hear the fucking lore behind Gubwater forever. How did this fucking idiot get any influence to rename a town?
Are you the only one there?
didn't.
He was the only one there.
he
Oh,
did,
no,
yeah.
No, yeah, he did. He was the. Yeah, he went back.
Of
Yeah.
course, he
Right,
names
I know.
it.
But it,
No,
but
I
it
know, but,
changed
like,
on the map.
it was it was still called Gullwater until we
Let's pull up the
used
map.
our influence to call it Gubwater, right?
Yes, near the end of Act 2,
Jesus.
part
We-
of like
we
the
literally changed
negotiation.
it.
Yeah, part of
Yeah.
the negotiation was we would like to live outside of Gullwater, and since
That's what
it's
it was.
abandoned,
Yeah.
we would like to rename it Gubwater because
We
that
named
was just
it
like the
Nirvana.
inside joke. Yeah.
Right.
That
Did-
sucks.
Did Friday Group kill Gub? I can't remember if this was
No.
a thing.
No,
You guys
no.
killed Gub.
No, we
no,
did
wait,
we
not.
killed Gub. We definitely killed Gub. We killed Shadow
No,
Gub.
Gub died to his patron in the end is what happened. Yeah, Friday Group didn't kill Gub.
Wait,
We
his
killed a
patron just
Gub alike.
incinerated the town?
Oh no, the town was already fucked because of the void site was being suppressed
I know,
by the
but
priest
when
that you
we-
killed.
But
Oh,
when
yeah,
we
that was
found
the
Gub,
patron.
He was
Yeah.
just like, okay.
Yeah, that was the
interesting.
patron. Yeah, he essentially lost control of his patron, which was another Voidstar, and because of that, it went free. It killed Gub and incinerated Gubwater, and then it just roamed around northern Kathos, which is what Monday Group had to deal with.
I
Was
thought we did that. Wow.
Gub's page.
I did, yeah.
Well, there was.
100%.
I don't think
I
that
think
ever.
we might
No,
have also
I
claimed to
remember
do it at
we,
times.
No, I just remember we
Yeah.
RP joked that we were gonna waste the whole session walking back to Gubwater just to kill Gub.
Yes.
Out of like
Yeah.
spite.
Yes.
We did, yeah, and then so we genuinely believed it.
It was just
We're
Monday,
like,
Friday,
we're gonna
do that
rivalry.
ourselves.
We're like, we're gonna spend a whole session and derail the entire story just to go back to Gubwater.
Yep, and then just murder Gub because we can,
Just
because he's
because
just there.
out of character, not even in character, because we
Yep.
don't even care about Gub.
Yep. So yeah, that's what happened during the time skip. At that end, like everyone, most people got some money except Oswin and also Ven. Ven helped Oswin escape, and then you all journeyed back to Hamlet, across the wall again, and managed to get Oswin out. Meanwhile, Braun, at that point, and this is what set the story for Act 2. What did G-Mart's character get eaten by hags? Act 2. Middle of Act 2.
We'll get to that.
Important preface, the suffering that is Oswin. So first he lost his void touch, whatever.
I mean, but was it destined from the start when the first thing we saw you do was try to shock Ven and touch
Yeah,
her
it's
boob?
almost Hold on. Wait a minute.
No,
Wait a
that's
minute. Wait a
Muriel,
minute. Wait a
that's
minute. Wait a 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 minute. That was-
doesn't change much, to be honest.
Hold on. I want to talk about that. Can we talk
Please.
about that? The very first
Yes.
session, you guys power gamed my character into basically being a pervert. I wanna talk about
defend
that.
yourself.
No.
You
Defend yourself.
No. What the instance was the first time we met, I tried to do a funny fucking lightning hand buzzer
Like
gag,
a handshake,
right? Give them
yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
And I rolled,
Totally fine.
and I rolled horribly, like really inaccurate.
Like
So I
one.
made a joke out of character, like, oh, it's like the anime where you fall on the girl and grab the boobs, and you guys went, that's canon.
You went for it.
To be fair,
Dude, you
OOC,
tried to
you have to be
grab her
really
boob, dude.
careful with OOC and in character.
It was entirely OOC.
But in character, that did not happen. It was a shock handshake.
What?
I just want to make
I'm
sure.
pretty
I
sure
just
I
want to
saw that.
establish that as clear as
Literally
well.
power gaming.
Yeah, I established that as clear. Oswin, the pervert, and it was like, that's not my
Remember
lore. I didn't
time
do that.
Doki
I
whipped
didn't.
his dick out, dude, in the middle of the session, dude? That was so weird.
Ron did that every long rest. I don't know what you mean.
Oh my god, it's awful. It's terrible.
Sorry, I lied.
But yeah, as you see, this is the map of Northern Kathos during the first campaign, and this is drawn by the wonderful Benji. Benji was
I
a
didn't draw
very,
that. I just assembled it.
He used
with
the
little pictures of
program.
things.
but it was good.
Yeah,
It was good. Yeah, you really.
This one was
If
in
anything,
Wonder
thank the
Draft.
computers.
It was
Yeah,
better
Wonder
than not
Draft
having
isn't-
that.
It's an app that you can get, and it's like $30 or something. I prefer now to use Photoshop a lot better, but if you want all the tools for you, so you can just import them, use Wonder Draft. It's really good. You don't have to subscribe or anything either. What's the one you use, Brett? Incarnate.
I use Incarnate occasionally, but all the maps are done in Dungeon Painter Studio, which
That's
has
also good.
it's riddled with bugs, but it's been treating me pretty well, honestly.
It looks good though.
I mean, I'm not sponsored, but I'll be honest. It's riddled with bugs, and we're waiting for another update that was supposed to come out months ago. So it's fine.
So
it's
check
fine.
them out with my link, BrettUltimus.
BrettUltimus.
BrettUltimus. I think it might just be one guy working on it. So honestly, it's still a great product. It gets the job done. It's done literally all the maps of all the IO campaigns. So I don't hate on it. It's good. I just wish there were certain things about it that I wish would just work all the time because it's so good, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's essentially what happened with that. That was Act 1 of Voidstar, and just the foundation of these characters and the foundation of the events that was happening in Northern Kathos, essentially. And then there was a time skip, and then Act 2 started at that point. I know we've been talking for 2 hours now, so I don't want to keep pushing forward because Act 2 was a lot longer than Act 1. I would say that Act 1 was like, yeah, Act 1 was the tutorial, like sort of like the tutorial campaign, and then Act 2 was like boom, 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 boom. Gmart, do we know if we have a 5th person for Hive Mind? Because I was gonna stop around then for us so we can do that.
It's supposed to be Sam.
Do we?
But Sam said, and I quote, and Sam said, and I quote, I think I have a prior arrangement. I'm not sure yet, but he's playing League right now, so I don't know.
Okay.
I
All
can
right.
do
The
a
arrangement
5.
was League.
If it's
His arrangement was League.
if it's convenient enough and I just have to show up, I'll be there.
We just literally need a body.
We just need a body.
We just need a
That's-
body for a
how
couple
long is
hours.
What time are you looking to do
Couple
that?
hours.
Like 2 hours. You
You
guys will play League of Legends for 12 hours a fucking day.
This
2 hours?
2 hours of boring WoW though,
This
where I
music
just
is
watch you
so-
guys get them out.
nonchalant.
Get it as well, man.
You get it as well, yeah. You get it as well,
And you
Lawman.
get the least amount of workload, man.
Let's sweeten the load.
Bear
Yeah, I
the
have no
load,
idea.
Mr. Old Man.
What is that?
This was really fun, Brett. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that you saying that we're gonna end this little talkie talk?
Oh, no. Well, I wanted to see where everyone else is because we can do the points, but I also know I have a prior engagement, but I don't know if that prior engagement's even happening.
I'm gonna have to go to bed.
You go to bed,
Oh,
though,
yeah.
Dukes.
night,
Yeah,
Brett.
honestly,
Good
this
night.
this genuinely feels like a good wrap-up point, and then we can do Act 2 next week for whoever wants
Just
to
saying,
come.
Act 2's fucking
Hey.
beefy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Act 2 is beefy. That's where a lot of shit happens. Yeah.
Check out the last episode of Misdemeanor, though.
Yep.
Because,
That's
Well.
Act 2 lore right there. Act 2 lore is
That's
the
Mac
last
2
episode.
lore.
Good
Yeah,
shit
grease
going
the
on.
wheels a little bit.
Yep. But yeah, that's kind of like who all the fallen heroes were. Act 2, at the end of Act 2 is literally, it does end with the fight against Div and Void and how we got there. It's pretty beefy. A lot of things happened. War against a dragon, against a dragon flight, essentially, because Friday group killed a dragon. It's so much stuff.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Ascension.
Yeah. Ascension. I mean, more about bronze history and lore.
Huzzah!
And it's so...
Precisely.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely do that at some point in time. Talk about that. Like I said, I'll probably do it next Monday. And whoever's here for that, that'd be great. But this has been wonderful. Thank you guys so much for talking about your experiences about this.
Yeah.
Some of my best D&D experiences has been with you guys. So thank you very much for that.
Some of my in fact, all of my only D&D experiences have been with you guys. So
Yeah, Benji.
Mhm.
And Benji gets another DM and then goes, "Wait a minute, Brett, you're kind of
the
shit
hell,
at this,
Brett?
are you?"
Wait, did we tell everybody that Benji was obsessed with spices?
I forgot about that.
Forget.
Oh my God.
just to set the
that
seats,
wasn't
because we'll
relevant,
loop back to it right to the
I
end.
forgot
It's very
about
relevant.
that. Yeah,
It's extremely relevant.
it's relevant. It happened all in Act 1 and Act 2.
I don't even know if does Group 2 know how it even ended? I won't say. I
Like,
won't spoil it until
really
we talk about
ended? Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Nope. Okay. Cool.
No.
No,
I don't even remember how it ended.
It's oh really? Okay, cool, perfect. I can't wait for that then.
Spice
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah, all you need to know is in the beginning of Act 1, Doki was obsessed with spices, and every time he found spices, he would dump them all into this one bag. So he had this giant just
Allspice bag.
mixture of allspice. I think we even called it the Doki allspice.
I mean, he didn't have a bag. Just for the record, he didn't have a bag at first. He literally put it in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I carried it around in my pocket. Yeah.
And he would always try to cook and just ruin every meal. It'd be
Yeah,
like,
and
"Hey,
I would look
we cooked this good
expectantly.
food and a
Yeah.
sprinkle of spice and just ruins it.
oh, it immediately ruined whatever we used it.
Can I just also
Please.
Act 2 is where my favorite D&D moment of all time happened, where fucking Datus ruined a deal with a trader.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Oh, we're
amazing
definitely gonna talk about that because that was a tough thing to DM through. Not
I remember hearing about this.
not against Cheeky, but that was
good.
anything that's confrontational in game with in-game ramifications. As DM, you just feel bad because you're like, I literally have to tell you.
There's no way
No,
for me
you-
to save you from
You
yourself
failed.
right
Exactly.
now. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So good.
100. I mean,
funny.
the last session of All King had that where they were trying to be diplomatic and persuade their way through this New Haven cult, and it kept failing rolls, and I literally was like, I cannot. There's nothing
we were
I can
failing
do.
rolls, but we were also failing RP.
Yeah, and that's fine. And at that point, you just want to help, but you got to keep it real. You know, you got to, because at the moment as a DM, you go, oh, but I like you guys and I want you to win, so don't worry about it. We'll keep going. It ruins the foundation, and then it all falls apart. And I don't want to cheapen the experience, so that's just. And you're just like, oh, I hate to tell you that this is gonna not end well for you, but man, this is not gonna end well for you.
Look, as long as you didn't tell anybody you were gonna rip their arms off, you did better than us.
We didn't get there. Yeah.
little act two preview
there.
for you.
We'll get
Yeah,
there.
I'm excited to talk about that now. Yeah. Lawman, are you joining for a couple of hours? Get a mount. We would owe you. We give you
Why
bit.
would you say that? You
Hold
didn't need
on,
to say that.
I don't. The owing him is the hive mind mount. And the experience. 'Cause good luck organizing
Sounds
5
like you
adults.
boys owe me a favor. Now, I'll be calling on that sometime in the future.
You're being D&D, you die. No one does.
Look, you'll get Lawman. You
wrong.
can have me for 1 Star Citizen gameplay for 2 hours.
Ooh.
Dude, poggers.
I'll
Wait,
walk
wait.
around your whole ship, dude.
Yeah, it'll take 2 hours. Yeah.
Oh. Lawman.
What?
So are you joining? Depending on what I'm doing is if we're doing hive mind or not, which is happening in like 15 minutes. Is what I'm asking.
Well, on that note, goodbye, guys.
Bye. Thank you guys so much. Lawman. Eh?
What? Wait. What faction are you guys even doing it on?
Alliance.
Ha! I can't do it on Alliance.
No.
My final card.
No.
I don't have an
And one
Alliance
more thing,
character.
Chat.
Hmm.
Denathrius.
The Nathrius. He didn't echo though. He didn't echo at all. Well, are you gonna do a character swap?
Well, I mean, I have a 120, but he's not like strong. Is this like a big fucking fight
No.
and like 5-man thing?
No, I don't think so. I think we just need a level 120. We literally just need a body. I think just like some jumping puzzles. That's about it.
Ooh, fine, I'll do it.
Yay! Got him. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud to you, Lawman. Yeah, I was literally about
Trap this fucking idiot, boys. Get him.
Get him. We got him. Lawman is in. If I'll even preface if Sam can't. I want to get this stupid mount, dude. What does
it mean to you?
I had to get a monocle. I had to get this yellow monocle, which was a very painful 2-hour puzzle for me that I had to like fill out 700 plus lights to like turn them all into one color. It was very painful. And then I got it and we all got our monocles. Like, yeah. And we got there and Dave was like, nothing, not blaming Dave, but he's like, yeah, it's late. I have work in 2 hours. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I just holding on to this like piece of pain right now. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay. I guess, I guess we'll do it today. And then we did it today, and Dave can't do it today as well. So we just need one body. One body. It could be you, Lawman. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you greatly. All right, I'll see you in the WoW thing. So we'll get started in like 15 minutes, okay?
All right.
Thanks, bud.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Did you guys have fun? Did you enjoy that? Sorry, I was doing some post planning, but was that fun for you all? World of IO lore stream. Did you enjoy that lore? Did that make sense to you guys? I think that's the more important question. Did that make any lick of sense? Like you understood that foundation. I'm gonna turn this into a podcast for the Patreon. But then I'm also going to upload it on YouTube as well. The Patreon one is literally just going to be clipped us starting the beginning and end of it. Well, some of it was hard to follow, TBH. Okay, that's fine, Floral. Hey, I got it. Everyone else was good, though? Nice to get an overview was good. Yeah. Yeah, Floral, sorry that it was hard to follow. Hopefully you'll, I don't know, watch the podcast or watch the YouTube. A good bit? A good bit. What was a good bit, Freddy? I mean, if we didn't explain it well or didn't follow it, please let me know, and then we'll make some changes and amendments. What about the porn demon though? Porn demon was a lovely inside joke. Mostly in the beginning, I guess. I think I could mostly follow after that. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. Yeah, by saying that, I thought you were saying essentially like I don't understand any of this. So it's like, okay, well, I tried. Porn demon was a lovely inside joke that just kept ruler of horny jail. Kind of. I got it. Just the name just got bit mess after that. What? I got it. Just the name just got bit mess after a bit. Okay, gotcha. I got most of it. Okay, cool, awesome. Ice Battler, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, dude. Appreciate that, bro. Yo, 1 sub away from 10. Also, big shout out to Sea Bear for the tier 1 sub for 5 months. Sea Bear, by the way, has done a lot of the art. We have a lot of placeholder art. I do want to state that right off the bat. First of all, Sea Bear has done all the character art so far. So big shout out to Sea Bear. He made all the logos, some of the backgrounds that we use. He's made. The names got mixed up after a bit. Yeah, we'll document that. We'll have like some sort of document or something, Freddy. We've got he's made a bunch of the art characters, some main characters as well. Arnar, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Bree Bun. Greatly appreciate that. That's 10, baby. Yeah, Sea Bear is extremely talented. We also use a lot of just old placeholder. Bye. I'm not leaving, Smiley. I'm not leaving. But if you're leaving, have a good one. I think we're actually gonna do Hive Mind now, unless something drastically changes. But yeah, you're leaving. Brett holds up gun. I'm leaving. Have a good one, Smiley. Yeah, he sent a bunch of that. We also use a bunch of just placeholder maps and things like that. Not taking it, or placeholder art while we get other art done. So it's yeah. But that'll all be there. Also, thank you to everyone who is part of our Patreon. I guess I will also say thank you to Julius Shark, Link Zoramage, and the Hug Hunter for being our top 3 patrons. We're literally 1 patron away from getting to our next goal. We're right there. We're literally, like, you could literally be a level 3 patron and we will reach it immediately. So that's very exciting. And then we'll have the big lofty goal 1 sub away, quite literally. But we did get to 40 patrons, which was really epic. So thank you guys so much for that support. And then we got the big goal of custom music for the campaigns, which are going to be really, we'll write like 1 track a month or something like that, but that'll be a lot of fun. I also, some of the just really, I just started fan art. Dude, awesome. I can't wait to see it, Freddie. The patrons got so much stuff, dude. The patrons got so much stuff. I mean, it's got the podcast, it's got art, it's got game making assets, including maps. We're going to be adding some enemies soon. Soon there's going to be magic item art and some maps as well, because we've essentially reached that goal. Like, I like, seriously, we're literally like, maybe I would say like 60 or 70 cents from our next goal. So we're pretty much there, chat. We're pretty much there. And it gets updated pretty frequently. I make sure that there's a lot of value to the Patreon. So be sure to check it out. Community projects. Yeah. So what we're doing with the IO Discord, which is right now a Patreon exclusive, is we're still gonna have a Patreon section, but eventually what I'd like to do is actually open it up to everybody, so that way you can talk about IO, post like fan art, all stuff like that. And yeah, it should be good. It should be a lot of fun. There's going to be a Patreon section where Patreon is actually going to help build a settlement, and there'll be little gameplay involved with that. I still have to work on all the gameplay with that, but that should be a lot of fun. I'm gonna go back and watch the VOD, but has anyone asked about race relations of IO and the difference between regular D&D and this? That's kind of a difficult question, Tala. I know we did talk a little bit about the VOD, but that's a tough question to ask. Like the relation, like what's the difference between standard D&D races and the races in this game? You know what I mean? Because that's like, I feel like that's gonna be a long list. I think the key thing to keep in mind is IO is a brand new like worlds and new planets. There's a lot of things that still don't exist in IO that exist in D&D races. Aberrations, devils and demons and celestials, none of them exist yet. I don't know how viable it is, but would it be cool to have a Hitchhiker's Guide to the world of IO? What would the Hitchhiker's Guide even be, would you say? I generally don't know. 1 second. And yeah. And yeah, almost like a wiki for the main characters. Yeah, Darren over on the Patreon Discord right now has started that. Everyone's like kind of like pitching together and putting everything they see lore wise and putting it all in one. And that would be nice. I definitely would love to get like a wiki there so people can start doing that. I think that'd be great if there was like a bunch of resources and things like that you can do. That would be a ton of fun, honestly. I would absolutely adore something like that. I would absolutely adore doing something like that. So everything's still being new, but yeah, eventually the Discord will open up. There's still gonna be a Patreon section for building the settlement, specifically building a settlement in the world of IO. The general idea is it's gonna be like a sort of mini game of sorts, where people are gonna be doing like weekly votes of what to work on in the settlement. Everyone's gonna be assigned like a role or profession. And every week they get to decide how essentially reckless they work on their stuff to try and get more progress done, or they end up losing progress, things like that. It's still being a working thing, but that'll definitely start as a Patreon perk only. And then as the settlement either is fleshed out or completely built, it may be open to everyone who's going to be on the Discord with the Patreons doing something else. So it's a really great way to get involved. And it would definitely take place in the same timeline as all of the other IO campaigns. And yeah, it's honestly, it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be really good time. A very, very, very good time. So for those that are leaving, I should have sold this before everyone left though. All King tomorrow. It may be a sort of mid-season finale potentially, because I think a big event is about to happen that day, so you don't want to miss All King tomorrow. So without further ado though, I think we're going to do a little WoW switch. I think we're going to do Hive Mind in an hour, not in 5 minutes, which is totally cool with me. I'm going to go do some like dailies and stuff like that. I'm not leaving stream yet. Hive Mind boys. So if you guys want to hang out and chill, you're more than welcome to. I would loved it if you guys hung out and we could continue to chat and things of that nature. Let me go ahead and put this in IO. Oh, actually, hold on. I can literally do this. Whoop. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to everyone about the games and stuff like that. And I think eventually we're also going to have I feel like a sort of like wiki built up to also help with like names and things like that. Names are always difficult to remember. So, but as long as everyone enjoyed themselves, I enjoyed myself. That was a lot of